Technological divergence from the Type 59. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251, Starlight Aircraft Carrier. Lin Chenran narrowed his eyes slightly and paused, as if deliberately whetting everyone's appetite. Then, his lips curled up in a mysterious smile, and he spoke again. Next, I'll reveal a piece of top secret, bombshell news to you. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire Saudi delegation from the Camel region instantly fixed their gazes on Lin Chenran. Their eyes widened, their ears perked up, afraid to miss even the slightest detail. They too wanted to know what the secret was. Lin Chenran didn't keep them anxiously waiting for too long. He took a deep breath and announced, "Our nation's navy has placed an order for 3 10,000-ton cruisers at our 704 shipyard." His eyes gleamed with pride as he spoke. Everyone present was stunned by the news. For a moment, the entire conference room fell into a deathly silence, followed by a series of gasps. One of the Saudi representatives from the Camel region was stunned and exclaimed in disbelief, "What? A 10,000-ton cruiser? This is simply unbelievable." Another representative was even more incredulous, shaking his head and muttering to himself, "How is this possible? Warships of this level are extremely difficult to build. Does the 704 shipyard have such strong design and construction capabilities? Few countries in the world can build 10,000-ton cruisers. Our 704 shipyard has the capability to build large warships. That's undeniable. Even our Navy's 10,000-ton cruisers were designed, developed, and built by us. Light aircraft carriers are a piece of cake for our 704 shipyard." Lin Chenran said confidently, arms folded across his chest and head held high, his words exuding a sense of dominance. Building a 10,000-ton cruiser is far more difficult than building a light aircraft carrier. During that unprecedented global war, John State urgently converted large cargo ships into aircraft carriers and deployed them into the fierce battlefield. The technical requirements for building an aircraft carrier aren't as high as one might imagine, especially for a light aircraft carrier with a displacement of only around 10,000 to 20,000 tons. At this moment, the Saudi delegation from the Camel region exchanged glances, their eyes meeting with a tacit understanding and shared understanding. Each of them revealed an unconcealed desire. They all yearned for their country to possess a light aircraft carrier. Possessing an aircraft carrier would effectively deter neighboring nations from provoking conflict, thus ensuring their own security and stability. Abdul then eagerly asked, "Lin, do you have a design for a light aircraft carrier?" His eyes were filled with anticipation and eagerness. They had always had a strong interest in aircraft carriers, but they needed to see a design before making any further decisions. Lin Chenran turned and exchanged glances with Pan zooming beside him. The corners of their mouths curled up simultaneously, revealing a subtle confident smile. They had been waiting for this opportunity. Lin Chenran gave Pan zooming a wink. Pan zooming, grasping the meaning, instantly rose from his seat, turned to his assistant, waved, and whispered, "Go and distribute the simplified design drawings of our self-designed light aircraft carrier to the Saudi guests." The assistant nodded in agreement and began distributing the design plans for the Star. Pan zooming, meanwhile, walked leisurely to the podium at the front of the conference room and expertly operated the projector. With a gentle hum of machinery, a stunning, lifelike rendering of the Star appeared on the large screen. The Saudi delegation members all turned their gazes to the massive screen. When their eyes first caught sight of the rendering of the Star, it was like a flash of lightning streaking across the night sky. Everyone was stunned, their hearts racing, and they were deeply immersed in the unparalleled awe. For a moment, the entire conference room fell silent, the only audible sound being the rapid breathing of everyone. The aircraft carrier's unique design was a work of art, its every line radiating the allure of technology and power. Its sharp, yet fluid contours resembled a sword piercing the heavens. Its massive hull gleamed with a cold metallic sheen, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. At that moment, the Saudi representatives in the Camel region simultaneously echoed a single eager voice, "Place an order. We must incorporate this Star-class light aircraft carrier into our national military." Under the eager gazes of the crowd, Pan zooming began to detail the design of the Star-class light aircraft carrier, meticulously designed and developed by his own company. The first thing that caught his eye was a series of impressive specifications. The Star-class light aircraft carrier, with a length of 209.1 meters, resembled a towering steel fortress, and with a beam of 36 meters, its expansive decks were capable of carrying numerous advanced fighter jets. With a waterline length of 192.6 meters, a waterline beam of 27.5 meters, and an astonishing draft of 8 meters, the Zvezda light aircraft carrier remains unwavering in rough seas. Its standard displacement is 16,000 tons, while its fully loaded displacement soars to 20,600 tons, fully demonstrating its formidable payload and combat capabilities. The flight deck is 167.8 meters long and 13.5 meters wide, providing ample takeoff and landing space for carrier-based aircraft. Its speed is also exceptional, reaching a maximum of 28 knots, akin to a gust of wind and rain at sea. It can also maintain a normal cruising speed of 18 knots, ensuring stability for extended voyages. Furthermore, the Zvezda light aircraft carrier boasts an impressive range of 7,000 nautical miles, enabling it to conduct a variety of missions across vast oceans. Powered by 4 upgraded GTZA674 steam turbines, the Zvezda is the carrier's core power source. This improved steam turbine provides the Zvezda light aircraft carrier with a continuous and powerful power output, providing a solid foundation for high-speed navigation and various complex maneuvers. Zvezda is equipped with 4 powerful 7.62mm machine guns, renowned for their high rate of fire and accuracy, making them a formidable threat to close-range targets. Furthermore, it features 3 impressive 7-barrel 30mm rapid-fire guns, capable of firing a dense barrage of shells at an astonishing rate, effectively intercepting incoming enemy aircraft or missiles, and demonstrating exceptional air defense capabilities. Zvezda also boasts an exceptional aircraft carrying capacity. Through meticulous design and optimization, it can carry up to 28 to 30 aircraft of various types. This represents a significant increase of 3 to 5 aircraft compared to existing light aircraft carriers in service worldwide. This means Zvezda can deploy a greater number of aircraft to participate in combat operations during missions. Whether conducting air patrols, attacking enemy targets, or providing air support, it possesses greater combat capability and deterrence. This is why the Saudi delegation members in the Camel region showed a look of eagerness when they saw the rendering of the Zvezda light aircraft carrier. Chapter 252. Are you excited? Then place your order. After Pan Zooming's hour-long, vivid, and accessible explanation, everyone present finally gained a clearer understanding of the general configuration of the Starlight aircraft carrier, built by the 704 shipyard. It was undeniable that this light aircraft carrier was practically custom-made for Saudi Arabia in the Camel region, its performance indicators perfectly tailored to the country's specific needs. From its overall structure to its interior facilities, to its weaponry and equipment systems, every aspect was the product of meticulous design and consideration. Lin Chenran replied, "I don't have any, so don't talk nonsense." At this point, Abdul asked, "Lin, what are your thoughts on the Starlight aircraft carrier's aircraft configuration?" Since this aircraft carrier so perfectly suited his country's needs, Abdul was naturally delighted and expressed a strong desire to purchase it. He then inquired about the Starlight aircraft carrier's aircraft configuration. Lin Chenran pondered for a moment, then replied calmly, "Abdul, if we want the Xingqian light aircraft carrier to unleash its full combat effectiveness, I suggest configuring it to accommodate a maximum of 30 carrier-based aircraft. This includes 3 helicopter early warning aircraft for early reconnaissance and early warning, 6 anti-submarine helicopters to enhance the carrier formation's anti-submarine capabilities, and the remaining 21 aircraft, all equipped with advanced fighter jets." Lin Chenran added, "However, the specific fighter configuration can be adjusted based on the needs of different combat missions. In short, flexibility is the key. We should arrange them in a way that facilitates the execution of the mission." "What about the carrier formation?" Abdul asked, his eyes fixed on Lin Chenran eagerly. He wanted to know how Lin Chenran arranged the light carrier formation. Without the close coordination of other warships, an aircraft carrier would be a helpless sitting target on the vast ocean. Although an aircraft carrier's deck was equipped with a certain amount of weaponry, this was far from sufficient to ensure its absolute safety. Lin Chenran frowned slightly and fell into a brief contemplation. After a moment, he raised his head and explained clearly, a light aircraft carrier formation needs at least 2 to 3 missile destroyers with powerful firepower. They are like loyal guards beside the aircraft carrier. With advanced radar systems and long-range attack capabilities, they can effectively detect and destroy threats from the enemy. At the same time, there must be 2 to 3 flexible and maneuverable frigates with excellent defensive performance. These frigates can not only take on the heavy tasks of short-range air defense and anti-submarine, but also serve as a solid barrier to protect aircraft carriers from attacks by small ships. In addition, 1 to 2 submarines hidden in the deep sea are also indispensable. Whether it is a conventional powered submarine or a nuclear powered submarine, it can use its concealment to launch a surprise attack on potential enemies, providing additional strategic deterrence for the aircraft carrier formation. And 1 to 2 supply ships are responsible for ensuring the supply of materials for the entire fleet during the long voyage, ensuring that the aircraft carrier and its accompanying warships always maintain a good state of combat readiness. In addition to the core ships mentioned above, there are many indispensable auxiliary ships, such as minesweepers, rescue ships, etc. While Saudi Arabia in the Camel region doesn't have an aircraft carrier, other countries have aircraft carrier fleets. A comparison reveals the difference. And as the wealthiest nation in the world, Saudi Arabia in the Camel region needs to reconfigure even a light aircraft carrier fleet. They must equip them to the highest standards. Meanwhile, Abdul and other members of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region pondered. Judging by their current fleet, it seems they can't afford an aircraft carrier fleet. Furthermore, their warships are relatively underperforming. While not as extensive as those of the Yand nation, they are all old and worn. If they want to form an aircraft carrier fleet, they'll need to procure other advanced warships to serve as companion ships. Frigates, missile destroyers, and supply ships will all need to be purchased. While they attempted, this is no small matter, and the final decision will require the approval of senior domestic leaders. Lin, let's go back to our quarters and discuss this, then report back home. In 3 days, whether or not Saudi Arabia intends to purchase your Zvezda light aircraft carrier, I'll definitely give you an answer, Abdul said with a kind smile as he stood up. As soon as he finished speaking, the Saudi delegation members from the Camel region, who were sitting nearby, also stood up. Seeing this, Lin Chenran quickly stood up and stepped forward. With the same smile on his face, he walked over to Abdul and replied, "No problem. Purchasing an aircraft carrier is a major matter, and it's indeed necessary for the higher-ups to carefully consider it." Then, Lin Chenran added, "Don't worry, Abdul. I'll send a telegram to the military right away to inquire about whether arrangements can be made for you to board the Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer, so you can have a close-up tour and inspection." Upon hearing this, Abdul's eyes flashed with surprise, and he smiled gratefully. "Thank you so much, Lin." With that, he turned and led the members of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region out of the 704 shipyards conference room. Lin Chenran, leading a group of senior factory staff, escorted them to the door. Only after the Rolls-Royce convoy gradually disappeared did he slowly withdraw his gaze and leave the area with the other 704 shipyard executives. Pan Zooming couldn't wait to ask, "Boss Lin, do you think the Kingdom of Shao in the Luochao region will purchase the Xingchen light aircraft carrier we designed?" Pan Zooming was feeling uneasy. He envisioned the kingdom purchasing the Xingchen light aircraft carrier, which he had led the team to design and develop. He would then become the first person in Yan country to design and develop an aircraft carrier. Although Pan Zooming was quite old and had given up a lot on fame and fortune, he was no saint. This was a great honor. It would be recorded as a milestone in history. And when domestic aircraft carriers were designed, developed, and built, he would be the first choice. Lin Chenran glanced at the nervous Pan Zooming beside him and gently comforted him. "Boss Pan, don't worry. The Saudi kingdom in the Camel region will definitely purchase our Xingchen light aircraft carrier and will purchase other warships at that time." Pan Zooming sighed deeply. "Boss Lin, I'm obsessed. You're still obsessed with it even though you're old. Lin Chenran smiled in response. Boss Pan, if it were me, I would do the same as you. This is a great honor, and it's only natural. Returning to their residence, the Saudi delegation in the Camel region immediately held a meeting. The content of the meeting was sent back to China by telegram, awaiting a response from home. Chapter 253. The dog owner's delegation boards the Aegis missile destroyer. At the same time, Lin Chenran at the 704 shipyard contacted Elder Zhang of the Yan Kingdom Navy. The moment the call was connected, Elder Zhang's anxious voice reached the other end of the line, eager to inquire about the Saudi Arabian kingdom in the Camel region's interest in purchasing Aegis missile destroyers. Lin Chenran calmly explained Abdul's intentions. Upon hearing this, Elder Zhang was immediately caught in a dilemma. He frowned and said in a slightly grave tone, the Saudis in the Camel region want to board our Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer for a close-up viewing. And they want to watch it undergo sea trials? That's a tough question. Then, Elder Zhang tentatively inquired, isn't it possible to view the Aegis missile destroyer under construction at your 704 shipyard? This would satisfy some of the Saudis' needs in the Camel region without affecting the Aegis missile destroyer's mission. Lin Chenran shook his head helplessly and responded, Mr. Zhang, the Saudi delegation from the Camel region doesn't want to see the Aegis missile destroyer under construction. They only want to see the finished product. If they only wanted to see the warship under construction, I wouldn't have called you specifically and could have arranged for them to come to our shipyard directly. Honestly, seeing a warship under construction doesn't yield any useful information. If there's a finished product, they definitely have to see it. Lin, I'm not sure if we can let the Saudi delegation from the Camel region board the Linjiang class Aegis missile destroyer. There are many secrets on board that can't be exposed. After a moment's thought, Mr. Zhang gave this answer. Mr. Zhang, if our navy really wants to make this deal a success, I'm afraid we'll have to make some small sacrifices, Lin Chenran said seriously. Lin Chenran went on to explain, we've wrapped this Aegis destroyer so tightly. Who would be willing to buy it if we don't let customers experience it aboard? Even wealthy individuals like Saudi Arabia wouldn't be so easily fooled. After saying this, Lin Chenran threw up his hands, expressing his frustration. The Yan Navy wanted to sell the Aegis destroyers smoothly and reap a lucrative profit. They also wanted to make money without doing anything. There are no such things as free lunches. And there's no such thing as making a fortune without working hard. Hearing this, Elder Zhang couldn't help but laugh and scold. Hey, you kid. You're really blunt. Lin Chenran shrugged and replied, Elder Zhang, I'm speaking the truth. Elder Zhang sighed deeply. I'll do my best to facilitate this, but I can't guarantee anything. Then, changing the subject, he asked, how about the Xingchen light aircraft carrier? Lin Chenran had previously submitted the design for the Xingchen light aircraft carrier to the senior leadership of the Yan Kingdom Navy, requesting export to Saudi Arabia in the Luochao region. The Yan Kingdom Navy's senior leadership was very interested in this matter. If the Xingchen light aircraft carrier could be successfully sold to Saudi Arabia in the Luochao region, it would undoubtedly be a milestone victory for Yan Kingdom's aircraft carrier manufacturing industry. This would not only represent a solid and powerful step forward for Yan Kingdom in the international military trade market, but would also fully demonstrate to the world Yan Kingdom's formidable aircraft carrier manufacturing capabilities and technological prowess. It would also allow the country to flex its muscles on the global stage, letting all nations recognize that Yan Kingdom possesses the capability to independently design, develop, and build modern aircraft carriers. Mr. Zhang, the Saudis from the Luochao region have expressed strong interest in the Xingchen light aircraft carrier designed and developed by our 704 shipyard, Lin Chenran said excitedly. They haven't expressed interest in purchasing it yet, but through my interactions with the delegation, I've clearly detected a strong desire to acquire it in their eyes, filled with anticipation and longing. It's clear they are very eager to acquire our Xingchen light aircraft carrier. At this, Lin Chenran's lips curled up, a hint of unconcealable joy spreading across his face. Then, his tone suddenly shifted, becoming serious and earnest. Mr. Zhang, in my opinion, whether the Saudi delegation from the Luochao region is allowed to board the Linjiang class Aegis missile destroyer for an inspection may be the key to the success of this cooperation. How could the sorters from the Luocho region be so easily deceived without offering them some sweeteners? Mr. Zhang hung up the phone with Lin Chenran and immediately reported it. The senior naval leaders attached great importance to the matter and immediately convened a meeting to discuss whether the sorters from the Luocho region could be allowed to board the Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer. After an hour-long discussion, the senior naval leaders of the Yan Kingdom agreed to the request to allow the sorters from the Luocho region to serve as guinea pigs for the construction of the light aircraft carrier. The Yan Kingdom relaxed its restrictions, allowing them to board the Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer for a close-up observation and inspection. If the sorters from the Luocho region could provide the testing funds, they would also be able to witness the Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer's sea trials. Upon receiving the notification, Lin Chenran immediately shared the good news with Abdul and the others. This was a rare opportunity. After receiving Lin Chenran's message, Abdul and the others reconnected with him. It was agreed that the group would board the Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer a day later by Z-20 heavy lift helicopter. Lin Chenran led the group secretly to a Yan Kingdom naval base. By then, a Z-20 heavy lift helicopter had been waiting on the tarmac for a long time. Lin Chenran and the others quickly boarded the Z-20 heavy lift helicopter and flew to the Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer. After an hour and a half of flight, Lin Chenran finally boarded the deck of the Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. The Saudi delegation from the Camel region looked around, constantly sizing up the Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. A middle-aged man in a colonel's uniform approached with several naval officers. They saluted Lin Chenran and the others. Mr. Lin and distinguished guests, welcome aboard our Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. I'm Yang Ji, the captain of the Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. Hello, Captain Yang. Lin Chenran smiled and greeted the other party. Yang Ji said naturally, the commander has already informed me of your purpose. You are welcome to visit everything, except weapons and equipment, and some confidential compartments. After the visit, we will prepare for testing various weapons and equipment at sea. Lin Chenran had previously informed Abdul that they would be responsible for the costs of testing the various weapons. The Saudi delegation from the Camel region readily agreed. Chapter 254. The wealthy dog owner gives money? Then make it happen. Abdul, you have two options. One is for you to proceed separately, and our ship's officers and soldiers will accompany you throughout the entire process. The other option is for General Pan to give you a detailed explanation of the various advanced equipment and facilities, as well as the powerful weaponry aboard the Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. Which option do you prefer? Lin Chenran, smiling and speaking in a friendly yet polite tone, proposed the two arrangements to the members of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region. After all, the Saudi delegation from the Camel region was a given god with money. Since he had given them money, Lin Chenran would certainly allow them to enjoy godlike opulence. After hearing Lin Chenran's options, Abdul exchanged a quick glance with the other members around him. After a brief moment of thought and discussion, they finally reached a decision, split into two groups. One group would closely follow Pan Zooming, listening to his professional and detailed introduction to better understand the details of the Aegis missile destroyer. The other group would split up according to their own interests and freely explore whatever caught their eye. After an hour-long tour, the Saudi delegation from the Luocho region had completed their visit, except for the classified areas that were off-limits to them. The Luocho region Saudi delegation couldn't help but marvel at the power of the Lin Jiang Aegis missile destroyer. This further deepened their obsession with the destroyer, and they eagerly wished it would join their own navy. Dear guests, please be quiet. Yang Ji stood at the front of the crowd and shouted with a smile. There are only 15 minutes left until the long-awaited Aegis missile destroyer test begins. His voice was loud and clear, echoing throughout the venue. At this moment, the crowd chattered, their excitement overflowing. Witnessing the Aegis missile destroyer test firsthand is not an opportunity that comes often. Yang Ji went on to explain, this test is no small feat. In addition to precisely striking the target vessel, it will also comprehensively test the destroyer's various defensive capabilities. At this point, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a hint of a smile. One of the key reasons this large-scale test was possible was the generous financial support of a delegation from Saudi Arabia in the Luocho region. Their willingness to shoulder the substantial costs allowed the Yan Navy to fully demonstrate the formidable capabilities of its Aegis-powered missile destroyers. To put it simply, since the wealthy are footing the bill, they can afford to build as much as they can. The crews of the Aegis-powered destroyers, who rarely get the chance to launch missiles, were fully prepared to demonstrate their prowess this time. This was also the reason the Yan Navy readily agreed to the Luocho region Saudi Arabian permission to test the Aegis-powered destroyers. At this moment, Lin Chenran walked over to Abdul, gently patted his shoulder, and said with a smile, "Abdul, the highlight is coming. Look forward to it. I believe that after seeing this, you will fall in love with the Aegis missile destroyer built by our 704 shipyard, and can't wait for it to enter your country's naval battle formation." Abdul's eyes immediately lit up at this, and he said excitedly, "Lin, I'm very much looking forward to it." Then, led by Yang, the group walked towards the most mysterious place in the Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer, the ship's command room. Along the way, everyone couldn't help but look around curiously, filled with a desire to explore the unknown. As the group entered the spacious and bright command room of the Aegis missile destroyer, their eyes were immediately drawn to the dazzling array of high-tech equipment and facilities on the desks. Everyone's face showed a different expression. Some were amazed, their mouths wide open, others stared with their eyes wide, as if they couldn't believe what they were seeing, and still others had a glint of curiosity and desire in their eyes. Abdul and other members of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region had also boarded their own warships. Comparing them to the Aegis-equipped destroyer was a stark contrast. While both were modern warships, in terms of sophistication, their own warships were incomparable to the Aegis-equipped destroyer. Yang turned around, faced everyone with a serious expression, and said solemnly, "Dear distinguished guests, welcome to visit here. But please note that you can watch freely here, but you are absolutely not allowed to walk around or interfere with the work of our operators. This is not only related to whether this test can be completed smoothly, but also to the safe operation of the entire ship." He paused and continued with a stronger tone, "Once we find someone violating the regulations, we will stop the test without hesitation. I hope everyone can understand and strictly abide by the requirements." Abdul, who was standing aside, patted his broad and strong chest and made an assurance to Yang, "Captain Yang, please rest assured. We will definitely watch quietly from the side and will never cause you any trouble, nor will we affect your normal operating procedures." Hearing Abdul's sincere words, Yang felt relieved. He quickly expressed his gratitude. "Thank you very much, Abdul. Thank you also for your strong support and cooperation with our efforts." The officers and crew of the Aegis missile destroyer were now in a state of high tension, completely absorbed in the various preparations. Everyone was fully aware of the importance and danger of this mission, and dared not slack off in the slightest. On the deck, the sailors swiftly and methodically checked the missile launchers to ensure their proper function. Inside the cabin, technicians stared at the monitoring screens, closely monitoring various data indicators and constantly adjusting system parameters. In the communications room, operators, wearing headsets, continuously communicated and coordinated with other departments. The entire ship was filled with a tense yet orderly atmosphere. Time passed by, and 5 minutes later, the exciting news finally arrived. Everything was ready. An officer in the command room excitedly reported to Captain Yang, "Captain, everything is ready." Yang responded without hesitation, "Yes." Then, striding forward with long swift steps, he reached for the nearby intercom microphone. He shouted, "The exercise begins." His voice boomed and resonated throughout the entire ship. Yes. The entire crew of the Linjiang class Aegis missile destroyer responded in unison, their voices resonating with the air. Chapter 255. The powerful firepower network of the Aegis missile destroyer. Not long after, the announcer's anxious and nervous voice could be heard. "Captain, the radar system has detected 5 targets and successfully locked onto them. Please instruct us to launch missiles immediately to strike them." Upon hearing this, Yang's deep ocean-like eyes gleamed with an even more resolute light. Standing erect in the center of the command room, he exuded an innate calmness and decisiveness. Without the slightest hesitation, he spoke in a tone as calm as the still waters of a deep pool, "Launch the missiles immediately." Yes. Execute the order immediately. Launch the missiles. Upon receiving the order, the operator reached out his right hand without hesitation and decisively and forcefully pressed the prominent red launch button on the console before him. At that moment, the entire Aegis destroyer seemed to transform into a giant beast awakened. With a deep, deafening roar, missiles blasted out of the ship like a herd of unbridled wild horses, or like arrows shot from a bow, with thunderous force. Blazing flames erupted from the tails of these missiles, forming giant, fiery dragon tails tens of meters long that streaked through the sky, hurtling toward the distant target ship at astonishing speed. The spectacular scene was like a series of dazzling flashes of lightning suddenly streaking across the night sky, illuminating the previously dark and gloomy sky like daylight. Each flash represented the trajectory of missile, and their interweaving formed a scene of magnificent beauty yet brimming with deadly menace, leaving everyone present deeply shaken. Time passed, and soon, earth-shattering explosions echoed in the distance. Immediately afterwards, massive balls of fire shot up into the sky, illuminating the entire sea. The high-speed missiles had accurately struck their intended target vessels, triggering a series of violent explosions. Meanwhile, inside the spacious and bright command room of the Lin Chenran Aegis missile destroyer, a young officer quickly stood up, saluted our Yang, and announced, "Captain, we've confirmed that all 5 targets have been completely destroyed." Yes. Yao Yang's tense face finally relaxed, a subtle upward curve of his lips revealing a hint of satisfaction. The Saudi delegation members in the Camel area were stunned and dumbfounded after witnessing the Aegis missile destroyer lock onto its target so quickly and successfully launch its missiles to destroy it. They couldn't believe their eyes and couldn't help but exclaim, "This is too fast." Considering that from the time the attack order was given to the precise destruction of the target vessel, only a few minutes had passed. This astonishing reaction speed and strike accuracy were truly beyond imagination. After careful observation and analysis, they quickly realized that the key to this Aegis-equipped destroyer's exceptional performance lay in its highly advanced radar system, which could detect targets at long ranges and accurately obtain relevant information in a fraction of a second. Furthermore, its missiles were not only powerful, but also possessed highly precise guidance, ensuring a single strike kill. At that moment, a desire for such powerful weaponry quietly took root within the hearts of every member of the Saudi delegation in the Luocho region. If the nation's navy could acquire a fleet of these exceptional Aegis-equipped destroyers, it would undoubtedly greatly enhance the nation's coastal defense capabilities, deterring the enemy from invading. Next, they would test the Lin Chenran class Aegis-equipped destroyer's close-in weapon system and its firepower zone. At that moment, a piercing alarm suddenly rang out from the Lin Chenran class Aegis-equipped destroyer's command room, its sharp cry instantly shattering the previously tranquil atmosphere. At the same time, warning lights of various colors began flashing frantically around them, their red lights dancing in alternating patterns, illuminating the entire command room in a blaze of red. "Captain, multiple missiles are heading directly for the Lin Chenran," a young officer reported to the captain with a solemn expression. His eyes were fixed on the monitor screen, his hands clenched into fists, and he leaned forward slightly, as if ready to respond to any possible danger. Yao Yang, his brow furrowed, his gaze sharp, gave a decisive command, "Close, in weapon system ready." These 4 short powerful words resonated through the command room like thunder. Almost instantly, a steady voice rang out over the communicator, "Close, in weapon system ready." Another voice swiftly followed, "Radar has successfully locked onto the target." Yao Yang, without hesitation, gave the order to fire again, "Intercept the target." This command was like a sharp sword, pointed directly at the incoming enemy missiles. "Yes," the operator shouted, then quickly reached out and pressed the fire button. In an instant, a series of deafening roars echoed. Like a giant beast awakened, the Aegis missile destroyer's close-in weapon system began operating at astonishing speed. They spewed flames, fiercely firing at the enemy projectiles they had locked onto. In an instant, countless beams of fire intertwined, forming an incredibly vast and tight fire net. Like a beast with its maw gaping, this fire net mercilessly intercepted any enemy projectiles that attempted to break through the defenses. Abdul and the others were astonished as they watched the Aegis missile destroyer's fire net up close. It was brutal. Every incoming projectile was destroyed by the Aegis missile destroyer's firenet. A moment later, a voice rang out, "Captain, all enemy projectiles have been intercepted." "Yes." Gao Yangji replied with a smile. After the Aegis missile destroyer's sea trials concluded, Lin Chenran and the others departed in a Z-20 heavy lift helicopter, returning to land. The Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer continued its mission at sea. Upon returning to land, Abdul and his companions did not immediately seek out Lin Chenran to discuss matters concerning the warship. They needed to return to compile the details of their observations aboard the Aegis missile destroyer, report back to China, and await a final response. Even the most discerning Saudi delegation from the Camel region were captivated by the Aegis missile destroyer. Chapter 256, Yan State and Sha State reached a cooperation. The latter purchased the Xingchen light aircraft carrier. Not long after, Saudi Arabia in the Camel region sent a telegram to Abdul in Yan. Following a unanimous decision by top domestic leaders, they decided to order a Starlight aircraft carrier and 2 Aegis missile destroyers from Yan's 704 shipyard. Immediately afterwards, Pan Zuming, representing the 704 shipyard, and Abdul, a key figure in the Saudi delegation from the Camel region, solemnly signed this significant contract. Both parties also made the contract public. This news, like a boulder dropped into a calm lake, quickly stirred waves. Global public opinion was instantly abuzz. If Saudi Arabia in the Camel region had simply purchased Aegis missile destroyers from Yan, the world might have understood and accepted it. Yan's Aegis missile destroyers had long been recognized by many countries for their powerful performance and combat experience. However, this time, Saudi Arabia in the Camel region not only ordered Aegis missile destroyers from Yan, but also a light aircraft carrier. This truly surprised the world. Building an aircraft carrier is no easy task. It requires extremely advanced technology, substantial financial support, and a vast industrial system. Previously, it had never been reported that Yan State possessed the capability to independently build an aircraft carrier. Was this just a farce? Or had Yan State been secretly accumulating strength and indeed possessed the capability to build a true aircraft carrier? These questions shrouded the international community like a fog. Consequently, intelligence agencies from various countries sprang into action, dispatching numerous intelligence personnel to Yan State and the Camel region's Sha State in an attempt to uncover the truth behind this mysterious incident. Eagle said with disdain, "Does Yan country have an aircraft carrier? It actually got involved with Saudi country in the Camel region and helped them build a light aircraft carrier? This is really surprising." The Russian bear widened his eyes and said in disbelief, "The development speed of Yan country's shipyard is too fast, right? It actually has the ability to build light aircraft carriers? It's incredible." The chicken country yelled sarcastically, "How is this possible? How can Yan country's shipyard be so capable? You must know that the Yan country navy itself has no aircraft carriers, and it only relies on an Aegis missile destroyer to hold the scene. Humph, there must be some shameful pie transaction here." The Gaul country was full of suspicion. "It's really strange. The Saudi country in the Camel region actually went to Yan country to purchase a light aircraft carrier instead of coming to our country to buy it. Could it be that Yan country really has mastered the relevant aircraft carrier technology?" John country stomped his feet in anger and cursed, "Shit, Saudi country in the Camel region purchased a light aircraft carrier from Yan country? Is this to thank them for selling missiles before?" White Elephant sneered, "TSK. Yan nation possesses aircraft carrier technology. I wouldn't believe it, even if you beat me to death. Anyone could master it, but Yan nation? Even if they were given another 100 years, they wouldn't be able to build one." Yan nation's collaboration with the Saudi nation in the Camel region shocked the world. Every nation questioned Yan nation's ability to build a light aircraft carrier. To dispel these doubts, the Yan nation navy announced that its first 10,000-ton cruiser, the Four Emperors cruiser, was ready and under construction. This immediately sparked heated international discussion. Eagle source: "What? A 10,000-ton cruiser? No wonder Yan country is so confident in designing a light aircraft carrier for Saudi country in the Camel area. Compared with a 10,000-ton cruiser, the design difficulty of a light aircraft carrier is lower. Mao Zedong, Yan country's shipbuilding industry is developing very rapidly. It is actually going to build a 10,000-ton cruiser. Gyro Panji country, Baka, how is this possible? A 10,000-ton cruiser? Does Yan country have such strength? It must be a smoker screen sent by the Yan country navy. It's all fake. Han country, Smector, Yan country must be stealing our country's shipbuilding technology. Not long ago, the design plan of a 10,000-ton cruiser of one of our design institutes was stolen. White elephant, don't believe in rumors. Don't spread rumors. A 10,000-ton cruiser, what else is there to brag about? Now, apart from the Aegis missile destroyer to support the scene, what else do we have? Yan country is so poor, does it have the money to build it? Deep in the vast Camel area, stands an Eagle Source military base with strict security and complete facilities. This base was like a behemoth lurking in the desert, ever vigilant to the slightest sign of trouble. Inside the base, in a spacious, brightly lit office, Shane Kerr sat at his enormous desk, busily handling various matters. Suddenly, a sharp knock on the door shattered the stillness. A soldier hurried in, handing Shane Kerr an urgent telegram from the United States. Shane Kerr took the telegram, his eyes quickly scanning the text, his expression growing grave. The telegram clearly instructed him to immediately deploy personnel to launch a comprehensive intelligence infiltration operation against Saudi Arabia in the Camel region, and to thoroughly investigate the specific details of the Saudi-Yan cooperation regarding light aircraft carriers and Aegis missile destroyers. Shane Kerr clutched the telegram tightly, his brow furrowed as he muttered unconsciously, this Saudi nation is getting more and more restless lately. They've been in frequent contact with Yan country, and now they're even planning to purchase aircraft carriers and Aegis missile destroyers directly from Yan country. Once these equipment arrives, it will undoubtedly significantly alter the existing security balance in the entire Luochao region. With this in mind, Shane Kerr didn't dare to delay. After careful consideration, he decisively decided to call in his right-hand man, Valir Bernard, to discuss countermeasures and follow-up plans. Turning to his assistant, he instructed, quickly, call Valir Bernard, and tell him I have something important to discuss. Yes. Shane Kerr's assistant replied, then left the office. Soon, there was a knock on the door. Shane Carroll put down his work, looked up at the door, and said seriously, come in. Valir Bernard gently pushed open the door, smiled, and greeted Shane Carroll warmly. Captain Carroll, are you looking for me? Shane Carroll saw Valir Bernard coming, stood up enthusiastically, and invited him to sit down in the sofa area. The assistant brought 2 cups of hot espresso, and left the office. Valir, this is the coffee I brought from China, try it. Shane Carroll invited Valir Bernard to drink the coffee. The latter took a sip. After a while, Shane Carroll handed Valir Bernard the telegram sent from China, and asked him to express his opinion after reading it. Valir Bernard took the telegram and read it carefully. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257. Before, I could just grab it, but now, I need to think about it. Valir Bernard was shocked when he learned that Yan nation had reached a cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia in the Camel region to build a light aircraft carrier. However, what surprised him even more was an urgent telegram from home, demanding detailed information about the light aircraft carrier from Saudi Arabia in the Camel region. Valir Bernard placed the telegram on his desk with a solemn expression, his brow furrowed slightly, a look of embarrassment on his face. He looked up at Commander Carroll before him and spoke slowly. Commander Carroll, with our current capabilities, we can attempt to infiltrate Saudi Arabia in the Camel region and gather relevant intelligence. But the problem is that this light aircraft carrier is still under construction and not yet operational. The useful intelligence we can gather will likely be very limited. Shane Carroll listened quietly to Valir Bernard's explanation, nodding thoughtfully in agreement. After a moment, he said softly, Valir, I understand the difficulty of this mission, but the order has been given, and we must do our utmost to complete it. With that, Shane Kerr sighed deeply, as if a heavy stone weighed down his heart. Hearing Commander Kerr's words, Valir Burner breathed a sigh of relief. His biggest concern was that Commander Kerr, regardless of the actual situation, would insist on him going all out to uncover every detail about the light aircraft carrier. Under the current circumstances, this would undoubtedly be a nearly impossible and thankless task. Thank you, Commander Kerr, for your understanding. Valir Burner gave Shane Kerr a grateful look, silently praying that the operation would go smoothly, or at least not cause him too much trouble. Then, Shane Carroll looked at Valir Burner with a serious face and asked, Valir, the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region, has a light aircraft carrier and 2 Aegis missile destroyers. In your opinion, will this have a major impact on the current situation? Valir Burner frowned slightly, and fell into a brief contemplation. After a long pause, he slowly raised his head and replied solemnly, there's no doubt that the equipment acquired by the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region will have a significant impact on the entire Camel region. Even if it's just a light aircraft carrier, it's still an aircraft carrier. Its potential should not be underestimated. This aircraft carrier is capable of carrying over 20 fighter jets, capable of launching powerful attacks from the vast ocean. The Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region's tactical options will be greatly enriched and expanded, significantly increasing their military deterrence. The threat to neighboring countries will undoubtedly become even greater and more difficult to control. Hearing this, Shane Kerr couldn't help but sigh deeply and curse under his breath. Shit, I never thought the Yan Kingdom would get involved with that wealthy tycoon. Previously, the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region had abundant wealth, but lacked significant military strength. The Eagle Source could plunder it whenever it wanted, and the Saudis in the Camel region dared not speak out. The situation has suddenly changed, and it's unlikely that the easy manipulation and fleecing of Saudi Arabia will ever be as easy as before. Saudi Arabia has successfully procured a large number of advanced military equipment from Yan State. This includes impressive medium-range ballistic missiles, as well as powerful tanks, high-performance aircraft, and warships. This series of arms purchases has made it impossible for the once arrogant and domineering United States to plunder and oppress Saudi Arabia with the same impunity. If the United States were to resort to similar tactics and exploit Saudi Arabia, it would have to carefully consider the potential consequences. Reliable sources have revealed that within these newly acquired medium-range ballistic missiles lies a powerful big killer weapon, capable of striking fear in any enemy. Saudi Arabia has also mastered the technology to manufacture fuel-air explosives, known as the most powerful weapon short of nuclear bombs, and has produced numerous such bombs. Once detonated, these bombs produce a terrifying explosion combined with high temperature and pressure, capable of instantly devastating large areas. We can only do our best now. Valir Bernard's tone was filled with frustration and powerlessness. He continued, because China has always been unwilling to sell weapons and equipment to Saudi Arabia in the Camel region, they've been forced to turn to Yan Nation for cooperation, and then procure a batch of powerful weapons and equipment. Now, our task is becoming increasingly difficult and challenging. It will completely push Saudi Arabia to the side of Yan Nation. The Saudi military strength in the Camel region is now growing, affecting the situation in the entire Camel region. Shane Kerr sighed deeply. He knew Valir Bernard was right, but it was not their place to criticize domestic decisions, nor was they able to change them. They could only do their best. Valir, it's up to you now. Infiltrate Saudi Arabia and bring back the intelligence we need, Shane Kerr said solemnly. Yes. Valir Bernard turned and left Shane Kerr's office. Lin Chenran, who had just returned from Shipyard 704, was blocked in Song Xian's office. Lin Chenran, looking at Song Xian's serious expression, couldn't help but feel panic. Chenran, the higher-ups in the military have planned an arms exhibition, and they want our 077 machinery and military factory to participate and bring models of various weapons and equipment. To promote their own weapons and equipment, to flex their muscles to other countries, and to attract an audience from both the military and the civilian population. The Yan state's top leaders have decided to hold an arms and equipment exhibition in their country. An arms and equipment exhibition? Lin Chenran looked at Song Xian beside him in shock. How could the Yan state's top leaders have such an idea? Song Xian nodded repeatedly. Yes, an arms and equipment exhibition. The higher-ups have given us a strict order that our 077 machinery and military factory must participate and bring out some of our best weapons and equipment. To ensure the smooth running of this arms and equipment exhibition, the Yan State military brass gave the 077 machinery and military factory a strict order. The main reason was that the 077 machinery and military factory's strength was obvious to all. If it didn't participate, the exhibition would be difficult to succeed. Mr. Song, since the military has asked, then we will participate. Lin Chenran thought for a moment and agreed. Participating in the weapons and equipment exhibition is a boon for the 077 machinery and military factory. It allows them to promote their weapons and equipment, as well as other products, to countries around the world. It's a great platform. Chapter 258 Weapons and Equipment Exhibition. Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a confident and calm smile. He whispered, "Mr. Song, we can't just focus on military products at this exhibition. We need to bring other products as well. Although this is an arms and equipment exhibition, it's not just professionals interested in the military who come to visit." Over the past 2 years, the 077 machinery and military factory has dealt most with clients in the Luochao region, with relatively little interaction and trade with other countries, especially in the field of military products. Lin Chenran was determined to seize this rare opportunity, the arms and equipment exhibition. He hoped to showcase the wide range of advanced weaponry and practical civilian products developed and produced by his 077 machinery and military factory to the world, thereby attracting more potential customers. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran couldn't help but turn his head to look at Elder Song beside him and asked, "Elder Song, I'd like to ask, besides our major third-tier military factories participating in this exhibition, have other countries been invited to this weapons and equipment exhibition?" After a pause, he emphasized, "Will those well-known weapons and equipment manufacturers from all over the world be invited?" Holding a large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition with only domestic military factories participating is too monolithic. It will definitely not attract more customers. From what I have learned so far, several well-known weapons and equipment manufacturers from the Russian side have clearly stated that they will attend this grand weapons and equipment exhibition. These manufacturers have also promised to bring detailed information and exquisite models of various weapons and equipment that can be exported to the exhibition. Song Xian methodically reported the latest intelligence he had to everyone. It's not just Russian weapons and equipment manufacturers coming. Many weapons and equipment manufacturers from other countries have also expressed strong interest and willingness to participate in this exhibition. As for the United States, it's not clear yet whether any weapons and equipment manufacturers will be coming. Song Xian frowned slightly, as if he was still a little unsure about the United States' attitude. As a major exporter of weapons and equipment long active on the international stage, Russia has been an active participant in almost every international arms exhibition, whether large-scale or highly specialized. It's not surprising that Russian weapons and equipment manufacturers decided to participate in this arms and equipment exhibition hosted by Yan State. Many weapons and equipment manufacturers in Angola are also enthusiastic about various arms and equipment exhibitions. Weapons and equipment exports account for a significant proportion of their country's GDP. When Lin Chenran heard that weapons and equipment manufacturers from so many countries would be participating, his already smiling face brightened even more, his joy evident. When Song Xian walked away from Lin Chenran's spacious and bright office with light steps, Lin Chenran was concentrating on dealing with a pile of documents. Suddenly, a phone rang, breaking the silence. Lin Chenran frowned slightly, stopped the pen in his hand that was writing quickly, stretched out his right hand and steadily grabbed the still ringing phone receiver and put it close to his ear. "Hello. I'm Lin Chenran. Who are you?" Lin Chenran said in a low and magnetic voice. At this moment, a voice that couldn't be more familiar came from the other end of the phone. "Haha, Lin boy, you can't even recognize my voice. It's me." The person on the phone said with a hearty laugh. When Lin Chenran heard the laughter, an expression of surprise and respect immediately appeared on his face. "Oh, it's Mr. Wei. How are you recently?" "Fine. Don't worry about an old man like me. But how is your 077 mechanical arsenal?" Mr. Wei asked with concern. "Thanks to you, everything's going smoothly. By the way, Mr. Wei, are you calling me this time with something important to tell me? Lin Chenran asked cautiously. Mr. Wei cleared his throat and said solemnly, didn't we issue a document earlier? The one about your participation in the first Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition, 077 Machinery and Arsenal. I wonder if you received it? Mr. Wei emphasized the words Weapons and Equipment Exhibition. Yes, Mr. Song just gave me a detailed report. Don't worry, our 077 Machinery and Arsenal will definitely participate in the exhibition on time. We will bring our most advanced weapons and equipment to display, and we will also prepare some novel and interesting gadgets for everyone to see and experience. Lin Chenran spoke, unconsciously patting his chest. Lin boy, this weapons and equipment exhibition is very important to the entire country. This is the first time our country has participated in an arms and equipment exhibition, so we can't be careless, Mr. Wei emphasized again. This was the first time that Yan State was hosting such a large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition, so it needed to be foolproof and leak-proof. Don't worry, Mr. Wei, our 077 machinery and military factory will definitely not hold the country back, Lin Chenran assured him again. Lin, we want your 077 machinery and military factories Apocalypse tanks, Z-20 heavy helicopters, Osprey multi-purpose transport aircraft, Dragon Shadow fighter jets, and so on to be displayed at the weapons and equipment exhibition. Mr. Wei now put forward the Yan State military's request. Then, upon hearing this, Lin Chenran was instantly silenced. The Yan State military had no choice. Currently, the most advanced weapons and equipment in the country belonged to the 077 machinery and military factory. In addition, many of the weapons and equipment designed and developed by the 077 machinery and military factory had export versions. Most of the weapons and equipment designed and developed by the 077 machinery and military factory had export versions. Although Lin Chenran did not rule out displaying his own weapons and equipment at the exhibition, which would greatly increase the exposure of his own weapons and equipment, the current notice was too tight. Elder Wei knew he was a bit rushed, but there was no other way. A weapons and equipment exhibition had to include a performance. Both Russia and Gaul had sent a flight squadron to participate in the exhibition. As the host nation, Yan couldn't afford to let another country steal the show. A performance was a must, and a high quality one at that. The J-10 fighter jet wasn't suitable for a weapons and equipment exhibition, so the Dragon Shadow fighter from the 077 machinery arsenal had to take the spotlight. Chapter 259 Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition opens. Mr. Wei, since the military has requested it, our 077 mechanical arsenal will do its best to meet it. Lin Chenran thought for a moment and agreed. The 077 mechanical arsenal has a flight test team. With a little training, they should be able to cope with the performance at the weapons and equipment exhibition. A shocking piece of news spread across the world like a blockbuster bomb. Countries around the world have received a mysterious and tempting invitation, and this invitation comes from the ancient and powerful Yan State. It is reported that the purpose of this invitation is to invite all countries to participate in the weapons and equipment exhibition that will be grandly opened in a month. As soon as this news came out, it immediately triggered heated discussions and widespread attention around the world. This is the first time that Yan State has held such a large-scale and significant weapons and equipment exhibition. Upon hearing this, the eagles, far across the ocean, frowned and muttered to themselves with a hint of doubt. Yan country is actually holding a large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition? Do they really have the strength to do so? Meanwhile, the Russians to the north were optimistic, slapping their thighs excitedly and saying, "This is truly great news. Another large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition. This will give us even more opportunities to showcase and promote our superior weaponry to the world. We, the Russians, will absolutely participate in Yan country's exhibition." In stark contrast to the Russians' enthusiastic response, the Han country displayed a dismissive attitude. They muttered sarcastically, "Smector, who gave Yan country the courage to hold such a large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition? Do they really think they have the strength to do it?" The chicken country was even more furious, gritting their teeth and cursing, "Baka. How could Yan country's military strength develop so rapidly? It's simply unbelievable. The white elephant country. Don't believe rumors. Don't spread them. The romantic nation of Gaul readily expressed its willingness to attend Yan's exhibition. Of course, their real motive might also be to use this opportunity to sell more of their advanced weaponry. As for the established power, John, it adopted a wait-and-see attitude, saying calmly, let's see if you have the capability. The various countries had varying opinions on Yan's large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition. Time flew by like a fleeting horse, and a month had passed in a flash. Lin Chenran, leading a group of senior managers from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and a team of experienced and skilled engineers, embarked on a journey to the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment Exhibition. The exhibition was a grand event, attracting numerous weapons and equipment manufacturers from around the world. They brought their most valuable wares, weapons and equipment representing the latest technological advancements and cutting-edge manufacturing processes to participate in this grand event hosted by Yan. At the same time, various countries also actively sent delegations to Yan country, hoping to feast their eyes on this grand event, exchange ideas with other counterparts, and purchase the weapons and equipment needed for their own armies. After a tiring journey, Lin Chenran and others finally arrived at the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition. As soon as they got off the car, they saw Wei Lao, the head of the Yan country's military equipment department, who had been waiting there. Wei Lao was in high spirits and greeted everyone with a smile. Lin boy, you guys got here really quickly, Wei Lao said with a smile, his eyes full of admiration. Lin Chenran hurriedly stepped forward and responded respectfully, Mr. Wei, this exhibition is of extraordinary significance to us, so after receiving the notice from our superiors, we dare not delay for a moment. We will start intensive preparations immediately. As he spoke, a humble smile was still on his face, and he added, the honor of participating in such a high-level exhibition is all thanks to the trust and support of our superiors for our 077 machinery arsenal. We will definitely go all out and live up to everyone's expectations. Come on, boy, let me introduce you. This is Wang Yuan. He is the person in charge of the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition. Mr. Wei said with a smile on his face, pointing to the imposing and upright man next to him. Then, Mr. Wei continued to introduce, this is the director of Liang, 077, Mechanical Arsenal, Lin Chenran. Today we just take this opportunity to get to know each other. After hearing Mr. Wei's introduction, Lin Chenran stepped forward without hesitation, his face always filled with a warm and friendly smile, and quickly extended his right hand. At the same time, Zhang Yan also smiled and firmly shook the hand that Lin Chenran extended. Lin Chenran was the first to greet. Hello, Mr. Wang. I have heard of your name for a long time. I'm honored to meet you today. Wang Yan also quickly responded. Haha, no, you are too kind. It is also a great honor for me to meet Mr. Lin. For a moment, the two people's clasped hands seemed particularly harmonious. The Weapons and Equipment Exhibition stand of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal is the first in the entire venue. It is also the largest in area. The staff of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal were busy setting up their own venue, and Lin Chenran was giving instructions on the side. Time flew by like a fleeting horse, and in the blink of an eye, the highly anticipated first Zhuhei Arms and Equipment Exhibition of Yan State finally opened with great fanfare. Delegations from around the world arrived, filled with anticipation and curiosity. The warm and hospitable Yan people and other foreign friends followed suit. They eagerly flocked to the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment Exhibition, a hall of technological brilliance and military might, enthusiastically browsing the dazzling array of advanced weaponry from various countries. Meanwhile, Lin Chenran stood quietly in his spacious and bright exhibition hall, calmly awaiting the arrival of each new batch of visitors. Wow, look. That's our country's independently developed Dragon Shadow Fighter. So cool and exquisite. A wave of exclamations echoed through the crowd, and people stopped to observe. They were filled with admiration for the sleek and majestic appearance of the fighter before them. Although it was a model, it was the 1:1 replica, reduced only in size. How cool. There's even an apocalypse tank. It's a steel beast of the land battlefield. Someone else excitedly exclaimed, and everyone's attention was immediately drawn to the apocalypse tank. Wow. Even the Z-20 heavy helicopter is on display. It's truly eye-opening. Exclamations of admiration echoed one after another, creating a lively atmosphere. Chapter 260 Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition. With the official opening of the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition, a flood of people instantly poured into the venue. The crowds rubbed shoulders, and the stream soon converged on the Weapons and Equipment Exhibition area of the 077 Machinery and Arsenal. The 077 Machinery and Arsenal staff, already well prepared, energetically began to explain in detail the various weapons and equipment they were proud of to the endless stream of visitors. Just then, Lin Chenran suddenly noticed a group of men wearing white turbans and walking with vigorous steps striding towards them. As they approached, Lin Chenran's lips involuntarily curled up, and a smile as bright as the sun spread across his face. "Abdul, welcome." Lin Chenran stepped forward enthusiastically and shook hands with the former. "Lin, I'm a good friend, right?" Abdul said, looking at Lin Chenran with a smile on his face. Lin Chenran was slightly startled, then reacted, "Of course, my good brother." He patted Abdul on the shoulder to express his gratitude. "I heard back home that your Yan country is holding a grand, large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition, so I've specially led our delegation all the way to Yan country to show our support," Abdul said excitedly, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "After entering the exhibition hall, we went straight to your 077 Machinery Arsenal's exhibition hall." Abdul raised his head proudly, as if he had accomplished something remarkable. Hearing this, Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel touched. This friendship was truly rare. "Abdul, thank you so much." Lin Chenran shook Abdul's hand tightly and thanked him sincerely. Then, Lin Chenran warmly invited, "Come on, Abdul, take a look around. If any of the exhibits interest you, or you're interested in collaborating, we can sit down and discuss it in detail anytime. Even if we don't have any needs at the moment, that's fine too." With that, he accompanied Abdul as they began to tour the dazzling array of advanced weaponry and equipment in the exhibition hall. Not long after, a staff member from the 704 shipyard hurriedly walked to Lin Chenran's side. He bowed slightly, lowered his voice, and said in Lin Chenran's ear, "Mr. Lin, a delegation from Afghanistan has arrived at the exhibition hall of our 704 shipyard. They want to discuss matters related to the Starlight aircraft carrier." After that, the staff member stood quietly by the side waiting for Lin Chenran's response. Pan Zooming couldn't make up his mind for a moment and needed Lin Chenran to go over. Then, Lin Chenran briefly explained a few work matters to the people around him and then followed the staff member of the 704 shipyard to leave the place. The two walked through a long corridor and finally came to the door of a spacious and bright conference room. The officials of the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition held this time were very thoughtful. In order to ensure the safety and privacy of customers and many weapons and equipment manufacturers who came to visit, more than a dozen conference rooms of different sizes were carefully arranged. These meeting rooms are located in different areas, allowing both parties to freely conduct business negotiations and cooperation exchanges in a relatively quiet and private environment. After arriving at the meeting room, Lin Chenran saw people from both sides. On one side were the senior management and staff of the 704 shipyard, and on the other side was the delegation from Argentina. Pan Zooming stood up to greet them and introduced Lin Chenran to others. "Mr. Fernandez, this is the person in charge of our 704 shipyard, Lin Chenran." Seeing this, Lin Chenran immediately strode forward and extended his hand with a smile. "Fernandez, welcome to Yan country." Fernandez heard this, smiled, and immediately stood up and walked towards Lin Chenran, extending his hand. "Lin, thank you." After chatting for a while, the two sides got straight to the point. Argentina wants to purchase a Starlight aircraft carrier from the 704 shipyard to expand its position in South Asia. It also wants to take back the islands that belong to them from John country. The Eagle Source has never built an aircraft carrier with such a small displacement. The same is true for the Russian Bear. Furthermore, the US was reluctant to sell the aircraft carrier to Argentina, as it would destabilize its own backyard. Only a few countries in the world possess the capability to build aircraft carriers. The US and Russia immediately passed on the idea. John and Argentina had a feud, and the latter wouldn't sell an aircraft carrier to them. That would be aiding the enemy. Even if Gaul and John were collaborating, they wouldn't sell the aircraft carrier to Argentina, even if they offered a higher price. After eliminating all these countries, no country had the capability to build an aircraft carrier. Later, Argentina heard that Japan had reached a cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia in the Camel region to build a light aircraft carrier. This immediately sparked hopes among Argentina's top leaders for obtaining an aircraft carrier. Taking advantage of a large-scale official Yan Arms exhibition, the top leaders of Argentina quickly responded and arranged a delegation to Yan. They were surprised to find the real owner of the light aircraft carrier. The 704 shipyard immediately set up a meeting room for the Argentina delegation. Mr. Pan, please first introduce the Starlight aircraft carrier plan designed and developed by our 704 shipyard to Mr. Fernandez and his team. Lin Chenran turned and looked at Pan zooming beside him and asked the latter to introduce his own Starlight aircraft carrier to the representatives from Argentina. Previously, Pan Zooming was not sure whether his Starlight aircraft carrier could be sold to Argentina, so he was hesitant. The main reason was that Pan Zooming's status was not as high as Lin Chenran, and there were things he could not decide. Argentina was in a very awkward position. Would selling a light aircraft carrier to the other party cause unnecessary trouble? Lin Chenran, who cares? The conflicts, tensions, and escalations in our region are none of our business. I'm only responsible for selling weapons and equipment. I don't care about anything else. The light aircraft carrier was originally intended to be sold so that more countries would become the victims. Partners. Pave the way for Yan country's next aircraft carrier. After receiving the notice from Lin Chenran, Pan Zooming immediately began to introduce the design plan of the Starlight aircraft carrier of his own 704 shipyard to the members of the Afghan delegation. Pan Zooming couldn't make up his mind before, but now that Lin Chenran is present, he doesn't need to make a decision and can just follow the latter's arrangements. After all, if the sky falls, the tall ones will hold it up. The Afghan delegation listened carefully to Pan Zooming's explanation of the Starlight aircraft carrier design plan and took notes in their notebooks from time to time. Lin Chenran saw a look of satisfaction in the eyes of the Afghan representatives. That's right. If cooperation can be achieved, it will be a free military order. After half an hour, Pan Zooming stopped explaining. The simple design plan of the Starlight aircraft carrier has been explained. If you want to achieve in-depth cooperation, then go to the 704 shipyard. Chapter 261. Aguo wants the Starlight aircraft carrier. Dear Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Pan has explained the simple design of the Starlight light aircraft carrier in detail. Do you have any questions? Lin Chenran asked with a friendly smile. As soon as he finished speaking, Fernandez and the other members of the Argentine delegation exchanged glances, then shared their misunderstandings about the Starlight light aircraft carrier. Pan Zooming, sitting nearby, remained patient in the face of these questions, explaining them in an orderly and easy to understand manner. As Pan Zooming explained, the Argentine delegation members gradually showed signs of sudden enlightenment and couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh, so that's how it is." After all the questions were properly addressed, Lin Chenran noticed that the Argentine delegation seemed to have no new questions. He turned to Pan Zooming beside him, exchanged a tacit glance, and nodded slightly. Lin Chenran then looked at Fernandez again, and said with a smile, "Mr. Fernandez, since your inquiries have concluded, please proceed with your discussion. We will step aside for now, to avoid disrupting the discussion. If any conclusions are reached, or new requirements arise, please inform us." With that, Lin Chenran stood up and led the staff of his 704 shipyard out of the meeting room, leaving only the Argentinian delegation to continue their in-depth discussions. Undoubtedly, Lin Chenran's move was intended to give the other party ample time and space to carefully consider and weigh the pros and cons. Fernandez and the others were filled with praise for Lin Chenran's thoughtful and considerate arrangements. This approach of respecting partners and providing convenient conditions was truly comforting and satisfying. Fernandez and the Argentinian delegation then continued their discussion in the meeting room. After leaving the meeting room, Lin Chenran and his companions continued their conversation and discussion. Pan Zooming, who was walking beside him, frowned tightly, as if he had a bunch of unsolvable doubts in his heart. He lowered his voice slightly and asked Lin Chenran, "Mr. Lin, do you think Afghanistan will purchase our Xingqian light aircraft carrier?" Lin Chenran's eyes were firm, and he answered without any hesitation, "In my opinion, the possibility is at least 80%. However, this depends on how much desire Afghanistan has for purchasing aircraft carriers. In addition to purchasing light aircraft carriers from us, Afghanistan basically has no other viable procurement channels. Looking at the entire world, there are only a few countries that truly have the ability to independently build aircraft carriers, and these countries are simply impossible to sell aircraft carriers to Afghanistan for various reasons. Otherwise, Afghanistan would not have come all the way to participate in the large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition hosted by Yan country. Not long after the exhibition opened, it found the 704 shipyard to inquire about the Xingqian light aircraft carrier. Hearing this, everyone at the 704 shipyard couldn't help but smile at each other, and everyone's mouth corners slightly raised. The originally serious faces were now filled with joyful smiles because of this potential business opportunity. If this order can be successfully negotiated, then for the 704 shipyard, it will undoubtedly bring considerable profits and benefits. At this time, Lin Chenran turned to look at Pan Zooming and said solemnly, "Mr. Pan, I'll have to trouble you to follow up on the further communication and docking with the Guo. I have some other important matters to deal with, so I'll leave first." After speaking, he waved to the others, turned around and walked away from the scene with steady steps. As long as a Guo wants to learn more, you can sign a letter of intent with him and then take him back to the 704 shipyard for in-depth discussions. Lin Chenran explained various matters. He had solved the problem here, and he needed to go back to the exhibition hall of the 077 mechanical arsenal. "Thank you, Mr. Lin." Pan Zooming and others stayed in the distance waiting for the Afghan delegation to make a decision. Lin Chenran returned to the equipment exhibition of the 077 mechanical arsenal. He still had various matters to arrange next. Lin Chenran returned to the weapons and equipment exhibition of the 077 mechanical arsenal and ran into Wang Yun. "Mr. Wang." "Hello." "Mr. Lin." "Hello." Then the two began to discuss the matters concerning the Dragon Shadow fighter flight show in the afternoon. "Mr. Wang, then I'll go to the flight area." Lin Chenran invited the latter to go to the flight area to see the Dragon Shadow fighter. "No problem." Wang Yun secretly breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Originally, he came to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal Weapons and Equipment exhibition for the afternoon's flight show of the Dragon Shadow fighter. This time, Yan State had two flight shows at the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment exhibition. One was the Dragon Shadow fighter formation of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, and the other was the old J7 fighter formation. The flight show of the J7 fighter formation was not as attractive as the Dragon Shadow fighter formation, which can be seen from the early questionnaires. More members of the national delegations wanted to see the flight show of the Dragon Shadow fighter formation. Soon, Lin Chenran and Wang Yun arrived at the flight show area. The flight demonstration teams of various countries were making final preparations in the performance area. Mr. Lin Duanpeng, the captain of the Dragon Shadow fighter formation, saw Lin Chenran coming and strode forward to say hello. Duanpeng's admiration for his own factory director, Lin Chenran, is like a torrent of water, endless. Duanpeng is a top pilot in the Yan State Air Force. He has flown all kinds of aircraft in the army and is very proficient in them. When the 077 Mechanical Arsenal set up a flight test team, Lin Chenran asked Mr. Wei to find a group of outstanding pilots from the army. Duanpeng volunteered to participate in the flight test of the Dragon Shadow fighter project of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Later, he was noticed by Lin Chenran and asked to stay and serve as the captain of the flight test brigade at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Duanpeng will lead the Dragon Shadow fighter formation performance this time. This flight show must succeed, not fail. Lin Chenran greeted him with a smile. "Duanpeng, how are your preparations?" Duanpeng patted his chest and assured, "Mr. Lin, everything is normal and ready." "That's good. Check it carefully. I don't want you to go to the sky with doubts." Lin Chenran emphasized. "Yes. This is also for the safety of the entire flight demonstration team." "Duanpeng, let me introduce you. This is Wang Yun, the person in charge of the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment exhibition." Mr. Wang, this is Duan Peng, the captain of our 077 Mechanical Arsenal Dragon Shadow Fighter Flight Demonstration Team. Lin Chenran introduced the two to each other. Hello, Captain Duan. Hello, Mr. Wang. Duan Peng and Wang Yuan shook hands. Immediately afterwards, Duan Peng took everyone to visit his own Dragon Shadow Fighter Flight Demonstration Team. Chapter 262. A country wants the Starlight aircraft carrier. Dear Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Pan has explained the simple design of the Starlight light aircraft carrier in detail. Do you have any questions? Lin Chenran asked with a friendly smile. As soon as he finished speaking, Fernandez and the other members of the Argentine delegation exchanged glances, then shared their misunderstandings about the Starlight light aircraft carrier. Pan Zooming, sitting nearby, remained patient in the face of these questions, explaining them in an orderly and easy to understand manner. As Pan Zooming explained, the Argentine delegation members gradually showed signs of sudden enlightenment and couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh, so that's how it is." After all the questions were properly addressed, Lin Chenran noticed that the Argentine delegation seemed to have no new questions. He turned to Pan Zooming beside him, exchanged a tacit glance, and nodded slightly. Lin Chenran then looked at Fernandez again, and said with a smile, "Mr. Fernandez, since your inquiries have concluded, please proceed with your discussion. We will step aside for now, to avoid disrupting the discussion. If any conclusions are reached, or new requirements arise, please inform us." With that, Lin Chenran stood up and led the staff of his 704 shipyard out of the meeting room, leaving only the Argentinian delegation to continue their in-depth discussions. Undoubtedly, Lin Chenran's move was intended to give the other party ample time and space to carefully consider and weigh the pros and cons. Fernandez and the others were filled with praise for Lin Chenran's thoughtful and considerate arrangements. This approach of respecting partners and providing convenient conditions was truly comforting and satisfying. Fernandez and the Argentinian delegation then continued their discussion in the meeting room. After leaving the meeting room, Lin Chenran and his companions continued their conversation and discussion. Pan Zooming, who was walking beside him, frowned tightly, as if he had a bunch of unsolvable doubts in his heart. He lowered his voice slightly and asked Lin Chenran, "Mr. Lin, do you think Afghanistan will purchase our Xingqian light aircraft carrier?" Lin Chenran's eyes were firm, and he answered without any hesitation, "In my opinion, the possibility is at least 80%. However, this depends on how much desire Afghanistan has for purchasing aircraft carriers. In addition to purchasing light aircraft carriers from us, Afghanistan basically has no other viable procurement channels. Looking at the entire world, there are only a few countries that truly have the ability to independently build aircraft carriers, and these countries are simply impossible to sell aircraft carriers to Afghanistan for various reasons. Otherwise, Afghanistan would not have come all the way to participate in the large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition hosted by Yan country. Not long after the exhibition opened, it found the 704 shipyard to inquire about the Xingqian light aircraft carrier. Hearing this, everyone at the 704 shipyard couldn't help but smile at each other, and everyone's mouth corners slightly raised. The originally serious faces were now filled with joyful smiles because of this potential business opportunity. If this order can be successfully negotiated, then for the 704 shipyard, it will undoubtedly bring considerable profits and benefits. At this time, Lin Chenran turned to look at Pan Zooming and said solemnly, "Mr. Pan, I'll have to trouble you to follow up on the further communication and docking with the Guo. I have some other important matters to deal with, so I'll leave first." After speaking, he waved to the others, turned around and walked away from the scene with steady steps. As long as a Guo wants to learn more, you can sign a letter of intent with him and then take him back to the 704 shipyard for in-depth discussions. Lin Chenran explained various matters. He had solved the problem here, and he needed to go back to the exhibition hall of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. "Thank you, Mr. Lin." Pan Zooming and others stayed in the distance waiting for the Afghan delegation to make a decision. Lin Chenran returned to the equipment exhibition of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. He still had various matters to arrange next. Lin Chenran returned to the weapons and equipment exhibition of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and ran into Wang Yun. "Mr. Wang." "Hello." Mr. Lin. Hello. Then the two began to discuss the matters concerning the Dragon Shadow Fighter flight show in the afternoon. Mr. Wang. Then I'll go to the flight area. Lin Chenran invited the latter to go to the flight area to see the Dragon Shadow Fighter. No problem. Wang Yun secretly breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Originally, he came to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal Weapons and Equipment exhibition for the afternoon's flight show of the Dragon Shadow Fighter. This time, Yan State had two flight shows at the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment exhibition. One was the Dragon Shadow Fighter formation of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, and the other was the old J7 Fighter formation. The flight show of the J7 Fighter formation was not as attractive as the Dragon Shadow Fighter formation, which can be seen from the early questionnaires. More members of the national delegations wanted to see the flight show of the Dragon Shadow Fighter formation. Soon, Lin Chenran and Wang Yuan arrived at the flight show area. The flight demonstration teams of various countries were making final preparations in the performance area. Mr. Lin Duanpeng, the captain of the Dragon Shadow Fighter formation, saw Lin Chenran coming and strode forward to say hello. Duanpeng's admiration for his own factory director, Lin Chenran, is like a torrent of water, endless. Duanpeng is a top pilot in the Yan State Air Force. He has flown all kinds of aircraft in the army and is very proficient in them. When the 077 Mechanical Arsenal set up a flight test team, Lin Chenran asked Mr. Wei to find a group of outstanding pilots from the army. Duanpeng volunteered to participate in the flight test of the Dragon Shadow Fighter project of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Later, he was noticed by Lin Chenran and asked to stay and serve as the captain of the flight test brigade at the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Duanpeng will lead the Dragon Shadow Fighter formation performance this time. This flight show must succeed, not fail. Lin Chenran greeted him with a smile. Duanpeng, how are your preparations? Duanpeng patted his chest and assured, Mr. Lin, everything is normal and ready. That's good. Check it carefully. I don't want you to go to the sky with doubts. Lin Chenran emphasized. Yes. This is also for the safety of the entire flight demonstration team. Duanpeng, let me introduce you. This is Wang Yuan, the person in charge of the Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment exhibition. Mr. Wang, this is Duanpeng, the captain of our 077 Mechanical Arsenal Dragon Shadow Fighter flight demonstration team. Lin Chenran introduced the two to each other. Hello, Captain Duan. Hello, Mr. Wang. Duanpeng and Wang Yuan shook hands. Immediately afterwards, Duanpeng took everyone to visit his own Dragon Shadow Fighter flight demonstration team. Chapter 263 Flight Show. Wang Yun stood on the sidelines, his eyes fixed on the Dragon Shadow Fighter demonstration team as they prepared. He watched the team members methodically inspect their aircraft and adjust their equipment, his anticipation and confidence for the spectacular performance about to begin growing. Captain Duan, the upcoming aerial display is entirely up to you. Wang Yun solemnly entrusted Captain Duan with a smile. Captain Duan, this performance is crucial. I hope you can give your best. Duanpeng nodded solemnly, but still replied honestly, don't worry, Mr. Wang, we will give it our all. However, flying is full of uncertainties, and I can't guarantee you a 100% success. I can only say that we will do our best to complete this performance. Hearing this, Wang Yun understood that aerial displays are indeed subject to numerous variables, and that absolutely perfect results are unattainable. So he patted Duanpeng on the shoulder and said, okay, I'll leave it to you. Soon after, Lin Chenran and Wang Yun walked towards the audience, chatting and laughing. By this time, the auditorium was already packed, with people flocking from far and wide to witness the spectacular display of aircraft from all corners of the world. Just then, the host's exciting voice rang out over the radio. Dear audience, let us give a round of applause to the first to appear, the MiG-29 squadron from Russia. As the words fell, the Russian pilots swiftly boarded their MiG-29s and quickly made final preparations for takeoff. Each of them was energetic and heroic, as if ready to soar into the sky at any moment. Lin Chenran looked closely and suddenly noticed that one of the Russian pilots was holding a small water bottle. This detail surprised him, and he couldn't help but roll his eyes, muttering to himself, is this vodka? Due to the distance, Lin Chenran could only get a rough idea of it, but he thought it was probably vodka. It's a well-known fact that Russian pilots always drink a little alcohol before flying, and it can enhance their combat effectiveness. The members of the Russian Bear flight demonstration team boarded the MiG-29 fighter jets in a heroic manner. With the deafening roar of the engines, the fighter plane soared into the sky like an arrow from a bow, straight into the clouds. In an instant, it drew a beautiful and sharp arc in the air, and began a wonderful performance. The people in the audience instantly boiled over. Cheers and screams came one after another, as if to overturn the entire venue. Especially the people of Yan country. They widened their eyes, their faces filled with excitement and curiosity. For them, this was the first time in their lives that they witnessed foreign fighter jets taking off at such a close distance and flying freely in the sky. At this moment, a familiar voice came into Lin Chenran's ears. "Lin boy, what do you think of this MiG-29 fighter jet?" Lin Chenran turned around abruptly and saw that it was Old Wei standing in front of him. He couldn't help but be surprised, because Old Wei actually appeared in the audience today in casual clothes to watch the performances of flight demonstration teams from various countries. "Mr. Wei, how come you?" Lin Chenran was so surprised that he couldn't speak clearly. "Here. There are so many people here. What if something happens to you? What should I do?" Thinking of the possible dangerous situation, Lin Chenran's heart was in his throat. However, Mr. Wei smiled slightly and whispered softly, signaling Lin Chenran not to be too nervous. Then, he stretched out a hand to his mouth and made a gesture of silence, while the other hand was placed on Lin Chenran's shoulder affectionately, and said, "Don't make such a fuss. Today I'm just an ordinary old man, enjoying the flight performances of flight demonstration teams from various countries. But, you're..." Lin Chenran smiled bitterly. "You are great." Mr. Wei frowned slightly, staring at Lin Chenran, and asked in a slightly heavier tone, "Why didn't you answer the question I asked you just now?" Lin Chenran shook his head gently. There was no ripple on his handsome face at this moment, as if he had already made up his mind about this topic. He then calmly declared, "The MiG-29 is vastly inferior to its sister aircraft, the Su-27. Lin Chenran's eyes flickered with disdain as he spoke. Lin Chenran genuinely despised the MiG-29. Although it was classified as a third-generation fighter, in reality, its performance was far from exceptional across the board. Essentially, it was a third-generation fighter designed for national air defense. To put it bluntly, it suffered from numerous shortcomings, such as its extremely small combat radius and limited payload. Normally, the MiG-29 could only fully demonstrate its combat effectiveness when combined with the Su-27, creating a superior and inferior combination. Without the Su-27 as its partner, the MiG-29's combat effectiveness would be significantly reduced. Back then, the Yan State Air Force planned to procure a batch of third-generation fighters from Russia to bolster its capabilities. Russia strongly recommended its own MiG-29s. However, the Yan state only wanted the Su-27s and had no interest in the MiG-29s. But Russia didn't intend to sell the Su-27 fighter jet to Yan. After careful consideration, the Yan Air Force ultimately decided not to purchase this third-generation fighter. This was primarily due to its numerous shortcomings. Later, the Yan Air Force strongly supported domestically produced third-generation fighters. "Mr. Wei, if I had to choose, I'd rather choose our 077 Machinery Arsenal's Dragon Shadow fighter than Russia's MiG-29 fighter. Its shortcomings are even greater than ours." Lin Chenran shook his head, heartfelt rejection of the Russian MiG-29. "No wonder you've always opposed the military's purchase of MiG-29s." Mr. Wei suddenly understood. "Mr. Wei, why would Russia send MiG-29s to participate in our country's large-scale weapons and equipment exhibition? It's to attract orders from other countries." Lin Chenran saw through Russia's tricks. After the various countries' flight demonstrations concluded, it was Yan's turn. The J-7 fighter jets performed first, drawing cheers from the Yan people. But for other delegations, it wasn't quite as impressive. After the J-7 fighter jet aerobatic team finished their performance, it was the turn of the 077 Machinery Arsenal's Dragon Shadow fighter jets. The Dragon Shadow fighter jets are about to begin their flight demonstration. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Dragon Shadow Fighter Flight Demonstration. The atmosphere was incredibly lively, the crowd buzzing with activity. Suddenly, cheers and shouts erupted from the crowd. The Dragon Shadow Fighter Squadron is about to begin its flight demonstration. The sound, like a surging wave, instantly echoed throughout the venue. As if under a spell, everyone in the audience cast their gazes in the same direction. Their eyes were filled with anticipation and excitement, as if they had already witnessed the breathtaking flight demonstration unfold before their very eyes. Meanwhile, the members of the Dragon Shadow Fighter Squadron boarded their aircraft with firm, powerful steps. Dressed in stylish flight suits, they looked dashing, their expressions focused and serious. Inside the cockpit, the team members expertly checked the instruments and equipment, ensuring everything was functioning properly, quietly awaiting the call from Control Tower. Just then, a passionate, high-pitched roar rose from the audience. Dear audience, let us give our warmest applause to the Yan Kingdom Dragon Shadow Fighter Squadron for their spectacular performance. The cry, like a thunderclap, pierced the sky, stirring the audience's blood. The audience was incredibly cooperative, especially the Yan Nation spectators. They all rose to their feet, their faces beaming with immense pride. For a moment, cheers and applause mingled like a magnificent symphony, resounding through the heavens and deafening the ears. Soon, the control tower finally gave the take-off signal. The Dragon Shadow Fighter formation slowly approached the runway, one after another, their majestic, steel behemoths exuding an awe-inspiring aura. As the roar of their engines grew louder, 6 Dragon Shadow Fighters soared from the runway like arrows from a bow. In an instant, a massive gust of air kicked up clouds of dust, and their tails emitted a dazzling glow, illuminating the entire sky. The audience erupted in thunderous cheers, waving flags and glow sticks, unleashing their joy and excitement. The Yan Nation spectators, in particular, cheered with a resounding roar. Their pride in being Chinese surged. This is Yan Nation's first independently developed third-generation fighter jet. It represents a major breakthrough and a quantum leap in the nation's aviation technology. How could it not excite us? 6 sleek Dragon Shadow Fighter jets, like swift eagles, rapidly assembled in the vast sky. They formed a tight, orderly formation, instantly forming a remarkable battle formation. Soon, the tails of the 6 Dragon Shadow Fighters erupted in 3 distinct, vibrant colors, red, yellow, and blue. Like 3 long rainbows streaking across the sky, the long colorful plumes shone dazzlingly in the sunlight, a dreamlike beauty. The spectators below, who had been watching quietly, erupted in excitement at the spectacle. They cheered with delight, their excitement evident in words. The crowd erupted in gasps of exclamation and praise, creating a vibrant and lively atmosphere. Witnessing this scene, Elder Wei, who was standing by, couldn't help but said with emotion, "Lin boy, the performance of the Dragon Shadow Fighter produced by your 077 mechanical arsenal is really superior." Hearing this, Lin Chenran nodded calmly and responded, "The performance of this fighter is indeed outstanding. Overall, it can only be regarded as a second generation and a half fighter." Then, he changed the subject and continued with a smile. "Although its market sales are considerable, I intend to take advantage of this Zhuhei weapons and equipment exhibition to vigorously promote it to more potential customers in need." After hearing this, Elder Wei raised his hand and patted Lin Chenran's shoulder lightly, laughing and teasing, "You kid, you are really a person who will not do anything without profit. Old Wei, if our military was able to take over all the Dragon Shadow Fighters produced by our 077 mechanical arsenal, then I would be much more relaxed. There would be no need to run around to actively look for customers like now," Lin Chenran said with a slight complaint, shaking his head. If the Yan state military had directly chosen the Dragon Shadow Fighter as its primary fighter, or had actively purchased it, then he wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble to secure orders and haggle with such demanding customers. Upon hearing this, a hint of embarrassment crossed Old Wei's face. However, as a seasoned veteran, he quickly regained his composure. Just as the atmosphere seemed to be stagnating, Old Wei reacted with remarkable speed and shouted, Come on, watch the show." The wonderful show begins. He attempted to divert everyone's attention from the previous topic. As Oldway finished his words, 6 dragon shadow fighters, like swift eagles, began to display their awe-inspiring flying skills. First, it circled gracefully, like a dancing fairy. Then, it suddenly dived, its form almost invisible. Then, it soared rapidly, seemingly poised to pierce the sky. Then, with a nimble combat turn, its fuselage carved a beautiful arc. Then, it performed a thrilling descent and inversion, drawing gasps of delight from the spectators on the ground. The Dragon Shadow fighter jet also performed a series of challenging maneuvers, including somersaults, oblique somersaults, and half somersaults, each seamlessly flowing and natural. There were also horizontal figure eights, up and down figure eights, soaring circles, soaring inversions, ascending and descending multiple rolls, single or multiple horizontal rolls, and slow rolls, a visual feast. The spectators below were already transfixed, their cheers and applause rising one after another. The excitement of these breathtaking maneuvers was especially intense, with the crowd dancing with joy, creating a vibrant atmosphere. Meanwhile, members of the delegations from other countries stared intently at the Dragon Shadow fighter jets in the sky, their eyes aglow with wonder. The Dragon Shadow fighter jet's impressive performance far exceeded their expectations, its exceptional performance undoubtedly astounding everyone. A surge of excitement filled the delegations, with some considering purchasing the Dragon Shadow fighters. This was especially true for developing countries desperate for fighter jets. Compared to other third-generation fighters, the Dragon Shadow fighter, a second-and-a-half-generation fighter domestically, and a third-generation fighter internationally, offered a significant price advantage. The fighter formations from various countries concluded their performance. The audience seemed unsatisfied, wishing for more of these displays. But it was just a fantasy. The audience left the airfield and returned to the weapons and equipment exhibition. Chapter 265 Apocalypse Tank Show. Lin Chenran, along with many other spectators, slowly left the packed and lively auditorium at the flight demonstration area and headed towards the exhibition hall of the 077 Machinery and Arsenal. When he finally reached his own exhibition hall, he was startled by the sight. The once spacious and open weapons and equipment exhibition area was now teeming with people, bustling with activity, resembling a bustling market. The area housing the Dragon Shadow fighter model was particularly crowded, practically impassable. Several delegations from various countries were struggling to make their way to the front. They inquired about the Dragon Shadow fighter from the 077 Machinery and Arsenal staff, expressing a strong desire for cooperation and further discussions. Seeing this, the well-trained 077 Machinery and Arsenal staff sprang into action, quickly arranging a dedicated meeting room for more in-depth discussions with these countries. At that moment, a sudden cry of surprise rose from the crowd. "Boss Lin, you're back." Zyro Zao, wiping beads of sweat from his forehead, strode forward enthusiastically. Lin Chenran smiled at Zyro Zao, patted him on the shoulder, and praised him heartily. "Zyro Zao, you've been working so hard lately." Zyro Zao instantly became extremely excited at Lin's praise, his face gleaming with excitement. Like a shot of chicken blood, he was filled with energy. "What's the situation now?" Lin Chenran asked with a smile. "Boss Lin, several countries are very interested in our factory's weapons and equipment, especially the Dragon Shadow fighter jet. Several national delegations have inquired and have expressed some interest. Boss Liu and his team are already in the conference room for more in-depth discussions. Especially after the flight demonstration, more and more people are visiting our 077 Machinery Arsenal." Zyro Zao shared what he knew. "Okay, thank you, Zyro Zao. You can go ahead and do your work. I'll take a look around here." Lin Chenran gathered the useful information. Time passed quickly, and in a flash, it was the next day. The next day's performance was the Apocalypse tank from the 077 Machinery Arsenal. The Zhuhei Weapons and Equipment Exhibition had originally approached the Yan State military, hoping to mobilize the Type 80 tank, a tank widely used by the domestic military, for the demonstration. However, this request was firmly and decisively rejected by the Yan State military. The reason was actually quite simple. Compared to the Apocalypse tank, The Type 80 tank lags significantly in many key metrics, including the destructive power of its gun, its robust armor, its speed, and its overall stability. The difference was almost astronomical. Allowing the Type 80 tank to perform on this stage would undoubtedly be tantamount to destroying its own reputation and destroying its own rice bowl. Such a stark contrast would clearly expose the Type 80 tank's shortcomings. For now, as long as the veil of secrecy remains, the Type 80 tank should still maintain a relatively respectable sales performance. The officials responsible for the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition were completely unaware of this situation. That's why they proposed to the Yan Kingdom military, hoping to have the Type 80 tanks displayed at the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition alongside the Apocalypse tanks. They had originally assumed the military would purchase a large number of Type 80 tanks, with a smaller number of Apocalypse tanks. They believed the Type 80 tanks' performance was superior to the Apocalypse tanks. But, the opposite actually happened. The Apocalypse tanks' performance was significantly superior to the Type 80 tanks. It was a literal illusion. You really wouldn't have guessed it. Today, under a bright sun and a gentle breeze, the spectacular Apocalypse tank display was a dazzling spectacle, captivating countless spectators. Crowds flocked to the Apocalypse tank display area, eager to witness this powerful weapon. Among the crowd, the most eye-catching were the delegations from various countries who showed a keen interest in the Apocalypse tanks. They came from all corners of the globe, filled with curiosity and anticipation, eager to experience the magic of this legendary tank up close. Among them were representatives from powerful nations like the United States and Russia, as well as intelligence operatives from countries like John and Gaul, attempting to glean crucial information. The fame of the Apocalypse tank had spread throughout the world, particularly in the Camel region, where it flourished in the hands of the Saudi army, becoming a formidable force on the battlefield. Facing tanks from other nations, the Saudi Apocalypse tanks, with their superior performance, completely crushed them in every direction, boasting top-tier firepower, protection, and mobility. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoed through the air. Look! The Apocalypse tanks are about to begin their performance. The cry, like thunder, instantly captured everyone's attention. The audience, in unison, turned their gazes in the direction of the voice. In the distance, the warehouse doors slowly opened, and 8 Apocalypse tanks, like steel behemoths, emerged with unwavering momentum, heading towards the performance area. Accompanied by the roar of their engines, 8 Apocalypse tanks formed into a tight formation, slowly and steadily approaching the auditorium with steady powerful strides. Each tank exuded an unparalleled majesty and power, as if demonstrating its dominance. As this majestic formation appeared before the audience, the entire auditorium erupted in thunderous cheers. People danced with excitement, their faces beaming with excitement and pride. While most had only heard of the Apocalypse tank's might, witnessing these steel beasts firsthand was awe-inspiring. Intelligence personnel from various countries recorded their observations. The Apocalypse tanks were simply too powerful. Passing through the auditorium, they exuded a chilling, murderous aura. While ordinary spectators might not have been able to perceive it, professional intelligence personnel could clearly sense it. The delegations from various countries were also awestruck by the Apocalypse tanks. Seeing is believing. The Apocalypse tanks lived up to their reputation. Next came the much anticipated performance. That's right, a test of the Apocalypse tank's armor defenses. The test tank had been brought to the testing area. Other auxiliary artillery pieces were ready, awaiting further testing. Multiple testers, armed with rocket launchers and armor-piercing rounds, launched a full-scale bombardment of the Apocalypse tank. Chapter 266 Want to see the Apocalypse tank? No problem, I'm generous. Armor-piercing rounds of all kinds rained down upon the Apocalypse tank, unleashing wave after wave of fierce assault. Each shell carried a fierce momentum and immense destructive power, seemingly ripping the steel behemoth apart. The intensity of the barrage was breathtaking, instantly filling the entire test site with smoke and flames. The spectators, transfixed by the spectacular spectacle, cheered with rapturous applause, their shouts and cheers resounding through the air. However, in stark contrast to the rapturous crowd, the intelligence officers and delegation members from various countries frowned, their faces solemn. They stared intently at the Apocalypse tank on the battlefield, pondering inwardly. The legendary Yan Nation Apocalypse tank is truly indestructible. Someone muttered. That. Another couldn't help but exclaim in astonishment. This is insane. It's unbelievable. Everyone shook their heads, unable to accept the reality. Before this, they had all heard rumors about the Yan Nation's Apocalypse tank, but seeing it with their own eyes revealed that the reality far exceeded their expectations. Time ticked by, and after 5 minutes, the deafening roar of artillery finally ceased. By then, the area surrounding the test Apocalypse tank had become a sea of inferno, blasted by the continuous detonation of various armor-piercing shells and artillery shells. The heat waves were overwhelming, making it impossible to approach. However, observing the Apocalypse tank from a distance revealed that it had not suffered any significant damage. Its surface was merely covered with a thick layer of dust and smoke, and some small pits appeared. Seeing this scene, the Yan Nation audience in the auditorium could no longer contain their excitement and pride, and cheers rose one after another, one wave higher than the other. Amazing. This is our country's super tank. No armor-piercing shells or artillery shells can withstand it. People hugged each other, tears of joy. Next, the Apocalypse tank's gun and driving performance were tested. The first test was its powerful gun system. The gun barrel rose high, and with a resounding bang, the shell whizzed out like lightning, accurately hitting its target and instantly shattering it into pieces, demonstrating astonishing power and accuracy. Next came the test of the tank's driving performance. The driver expertly manipulated the control lever, and the Apocalypse tank nimbly navigated the complex terrain. Neither rugged mountain roads nor muddy swamps could stop its advance. Its exceptional maneuverability was truly astonishing. The Apocalypse tank's performance in all aspects, from artillery to driving, was unparalleled, making it a true king of the land battlefield. After the Apocalypse tank's spectacular performance, to leave a lasting impression on the audience and further promote its flagship product, the Apocalypse tank, the 077 machinery arsenal made a seemingly unconventional decision, allowing everyone to view its Apocalypse tank. This tour was limited to external observation, and the tank's internal structure remained strictly confidential, prohibited to anyone. However, the news immediately attracted the attention of intelligence personnel from various countries, and their faces lit up with smiles. This was the outcome they had long desired. For these discerning intelligence personnel, the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition undoubtedly presented a golden opportunity. They eagerly observed the Apocalypse tank up close and personal, attempting to discern and extract crucial information from its subtle exterior details, particularly regarding the various parameters of its armor and potential debris. This precious data was like a key to unlocking a mysterious door. It held crucial importance in deciphering the Apocalypse tank's impenetrable defenses and the enigmatic technology behind its development. Surprisingly, the 077 machinery arsenal showed no fear of the in-depth investigations of the Apocalypse tank by intelligence personnel from around the world. First, the intelligence personnel from various countries had only a brief encounter with the Apocalypse tank, a fleeting glimpse that left them unable to gather sufficient and valuable information. Second, they were not specialized weapons researchers, lacking the deep expertise and keen insight to unravel the complexities and discern the key points. Furthermore, they lacked advanced, specialized equipment, which undoubtedly posed a significant obstacle to intelligence gathering. As research progressed, a harsh reality became increasingly apparent. No matter how hard they studied, they could not uncover the unique secrets of the Apocalypse tank's special basalt composite material, and naturally, there was no way to replicate this miraculous material. At that point, these countries considered purchasing a batch of Apocalypse tanks to study their basalt composite material. Little did they know, such a move would fall right into a trap carefully laid by the 077 machinery arsenal. When intelligence personnel from various countries first saw the Apocalypse tank with their own eyes, their hopes were instantly dashed, leaving them with deep disappointment. Even with close observation, they were unable to glean any useful information about the Apocalypse tank. Even worse, after a painstaking search at the scene, not even a fragment of the Apocalypse tank's armor could be found. This suggests that the Apocalypse tank withstood the recent high-intensity artillery fire, sustaining minimal damage. This morning's Apocalypse tank demonstration once again packed the weapons and equipment exhibition area of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Many countries are extremely interested in the 077 mechanical arsenal's Apocalypse tank. Even the United States and Russia have approached the 077 mechanical arsenal through third-party partnerships, seeking to purchase Apocalypse tanks. They aim to crack the special basalt composite material used in the Apocalypse tank. This material has been used to create special steels for even stronger defensive armor and corresponding armor-piercing rounds. The 077 mechanical arsenal held a special launch event for its Shenbing military exoskeleton armor. As the head of the 077 mechanical arsenal, Lin Chenran took the lead in presenting the event. The 077 mechanical arsenal's Shenbing military exoskeleton armor is of great interest to various countries. This high-tech equipment has a broad application prospect in the modern military field, greatly improving soldiers' combat effectiveness, survivability, and carrying capacity. It can also be used in the civilian field to help paralyzed people stand up. Chapter 267, Divine Military Exoskeleton Armor. A warm welcome to all distinguished guests to the 077 Machinery and Arsenal's Weapons and Equipment Exhibition area for the highly anticipated launch of our Shenbing military exoskeleton armor. I'm the host of this event, Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran, smiling and holding a microphone, stood tall and proud at the center of the stage. He bowed deeply to the audience and expressed his sincere gratitude. The audience at the 077 Machinery and Arsenal's Weapons and Equipment Exhibition area were incredibly enthusiastic and cooperative. They clapped with understanding, and the thunderous applause instantly reverberated throughout the exhibition area, seemingly bursting through the roof and resounding through the sky. The applause from the Yan audience was especially resounding and heartfelt. The rise of the 077 Machinery and Arsenal was not only a successful enterprise, but also a symbol of the nation's growing strength, a fact that filled every Yan citizen with a deep sense of pride. Yan once relied heavily on imports for its military industry. Many advanced weapons and equipment could not be independently designed and developed. The Yan military's equipment was extremely outdated. With the rapid growth and development of the 077 machinery and military factory, the Yan army has acquired second-generation main battle tanks, third-generation fighter jets, heavy attack helicopters, and advanced warships, significantly enhancing its combat effectiveness. The 077 machinery and military factory boasts robust production capabilities and boasts a sophisticated technical R&D team capable of independently completing the entire design and manufacturing process, handling a wide range of equipment for land, sea, and air. While the Yan audience's understanding of the 077 machinery and military factory was superficial, the international delegations and intelligence personnel present had a much deeper understanding. They were well aware of the factory's immense potential and influence, as well as its vast scale. It also manufactures a wide range of missiles and artillery shells. Rumors circulated that the 077 machinery and military factory even possesses fuel-air explosives, a technology considered substantially inferior to nuclear bombs, and had even exported fuel-air explosive technology to Saudi Arabia in the Luochao region. This reveals the immense strength of the 077 machinery and military factory. Please welcome the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor that our 077 mechanical arsenal has spent a fortune to meticulously craft to make its grand debut. As the host, Lin Chenran smiled and gracefully raised his hand. Everyone's eyes focused on the edge of the stage. At this highly anticipated moment, a spirited and well-trained staff member appeared as fast as an arrow from a bow. He was wearing a brand new Shenbing military exoskeleton armor. The shiny metal surface gleamed with a cold and dazzling light under the spotlight, like the bright stars in the night sky. The staff member walked steadily and powerfully, each step with a firm rhythm, like a warrior from the future, heroic and majestic. The exoskeleton armor on his body had smooth lines and fit the curves of his body perfectly. It not only displayed the ultimate in craftsmanship and aesthetics, but also exuded a shocking sense of technology and tremendous power. Arriving center stage, the staff member skillfully saluted the assembled guests with a standard military salute. His posture, erect as a pine tree, his expression solemn and dignified, commanding respect. He then methodically began to demonstrate the exoskeleton's powerful features and unique design. The first thing that caught the eye was the seamless movement of the joints. Whether extending or flexing, it appeared effortless and natural, as if seamlessly integrated with the human body. Next, the highly efficient and energy-efficient power system provided a constant supply of energy, allowing the wearer to maintain peak combat performance for extended periods. While not as high-tech as the American comic book Iron Man, the demonstration was nonetheless quite impressive. The audience erupted in gasps of admiration and enthusiastic applause. Lin Chenran cleared his throat, his face radiating pride and confidence as he continued to detail his company's impressive divine weapon military exoskeleton. He raised his voice and said, "Our divine weapon military exoskeleton armor is meticulously crafted using the world's most unique and advanced composite materials. This material not only possesses incredibly high strength, capable of withstanding immense pressure and impact, but is also incredibly lightweight." At this point, Lin Chenran paused, glancing around at the audience's expectant eyes, before announcing with absolute certainty, "It weighs only 18 kilograms. To ensure everyone present could gain a more direct and profound understanding of this astonishing statistic, Lin Chenran immediately gestured to the on-site staff, signaling them to quickly wheel in a precise weight scale and place it prominently in the center of the stage. He wanted everyone present to witness and verify firsthand the incredible lightness of his divine weapon military exoskeleton armor. Immediately thereafter, the fully dressed staff member walked steadily over to the scale. With deft, methodical movements, he began to remove each piece of his dazzling magic weapon military exoskeleton armor, carefully placing them one by one on the scale. Simultaneously, a large screen displayed the scale's readings in real time. As the last piece of armor was gently lowered, the scale's display finally settled firmly on 18 kilograms. Suddenly, the entire venue erupted in deafening cheers and applause. The audience danced with excitement, chanting, "This is seriously cool. Great." Lin Chenran continued, "There's another cool part. Do you want to see it?" "Yes." The audience cheered in unison. They were professionals at watching the excitement. So everyone wants to see the excitement. Lin Chenran smiled faintly. Suddenly, laughter echoed throughout the 077 Machinery Arsenal exhibition area. "No problem. Satisfy everyone's curiosity." As soon as Lin Chenran finished speaking, a petite girl wearing the divine weapon military exoskeleton armor stepped onto the center of the stage. The cheers from the audience reached a peak. Everyone showed strange smiles. As expected, men understand men best. Then Lin Chenran asked the female staff member wearing the divine weapon military exoskeleton armor to start the performance. "Next, I would like to invite an audience member to come up and assist us in the performance." As soon as Lin Chenran finished speaking, the male audience members at the scene raised their hands in unison. "Come on, this distinguished guest, come up." A male audience member quickly stood up. Then, bursts of sighs resounded throughout the exhibition area. Chapter 268 Watch me pull out the willow tree. At this moment, the same thought occurred to many of the male audience members. Filled with suspicion, they secretly wondered why they weren't chosen to go on stage and interact with the beautiful woman. How could one not yearn for such a rare opportunity to be so close to such a beautiful woman? But luck hadn't favored them. Just then, a male audience member excitedly took the stage. However, before he could even find his footing, Lin Chenran grabbed him tightly. Lin Chenran smiled and said, half jokingly, "Hey, brother, even though this woman is an absolute beauty, there's no need to rush. Relax and take your time." As soon as he finished speaking, the male audience member's face flushed red, like a ripe apple, and he looked extremely shy. The audience below was stunned at this scene, then burst into laughter. For a moment, the entire venue was filled with laughter and the atmosphere was extremely lively. Everyone exclaimed, "This press conference is so fun and so joyful." Such a unique format was truly unprecedented. Meanwhile, the female staff member, clad in the Shenbing military exoskeleton, began her spectacular performance. With graceful steps, she slowly approached the male audience member. As everyone stared in bewilderment, she effortlessly lifted a man weighing a full 150 kilograms onto her frail shoulders. She even moved him back and forth with incredible ease, as if the object in her hands were as light as a feather. This astonishing moment left all the attendees stunned and stunned. Everyone exclaimed in unison, "This is incredible." A petite woman, clad in the Shenbing military exoskeleton from the 077 machinery and military factory, was able to lift and carry a 150 kilogram man. This Shenbing military exoskeleton has created an almighty super soldier. The powerful functions and cool appearance are amazing. Isn't it cool? Lin Chenran asked excitedly, his voice piercing the entire room like thunder. Cool. The audience responded in unison, the uniform and deafening shouts like surging waves, one higher than the other. There was no sense of disobedience between the question and the answer, as if they had been rehearsed countless times and had a tacit understanding. In terms of carrying capacity, the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor indeed demonstrated a unique advantage. It can easily lift heavy objects that ordinary people cannot bear, and its movements are smooth and natural, without any clumsiness. Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a confident smile. He said, although this exoskeleton armor was originally carefully developed to meet military needs, please don't assume it's limited to military use. He paused briefly, scanning the audience before continuing passionately, as long as we at the 077 machinery arsenal continue to explore and research deeply, I firmly believe that in the near future, it will be successfully expanded to civilian use. Then, those who have lost the ability to stand and walk due to illness or accident will have the opportunity to use this miraculous exoskeleton armor to regain their lives, straighten their backs once again, and walk freely in this beautiful world. Lin Chenran's words were like a torch, igniting the enthusiasm of everyone present. His impassioned speech deeply moved and touched the audience. For a moment, thunderous applause erupted, rising and falling, and quickly spread to every corner of the exhibition area and press conference. Thank you everyone. The Shenbing military exoskeleton armor showcase concludes. Thank you for your support. If you're interested in the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor from the 077 machinery arsenal, please contact our staff. Lin Chenran then bowed to the audience and left the stage. The venue was bustling with activity. With excitement and curiosity, the audience began to approach the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor on display at the 077 machinery arsenal in an orderly manner. These spectators from all over the world were filled with anticipation and wonder. Especially the delegations representing various countries. Their hearts burned with a fervent passion. The sci-fi exoskeleton armor before them seemed to possess a magical power that captivated them, making them unable to look away. Unexpectedly, in this cutting-edge field of military exoskeleton armor, Yan country was so far ahead, so far surpassing other countries. This enormous gap astounded everyone. At this moment, intelligence personnel and delegation members from various countries were busily engaged, racing against time to transmit the latest developments from the Yan Kingdom's Zuhei weapons and equipment exhibition back to their home countries in real time through various means. Far across the ocean, upon hearing this news, the eagle's eyes widened, muttering in disbelief, how is it possible? Yan Kingdom's 077 machinery and military factory has developed such advanced military exoskeleton armor. The Russians to the north also felt unprecedented pressure, realizing they had to accelerate their own research. Otherwise, catching up with, or even surpassing, Yan Kingdom in this field would become extremely difficult, almost impossible. However, discordant voices were heard in some countries. For example, in Han Kingdom, some sourly cried out, "Smacked. Yan Kingdom's magical military exoskeleton armor must have been stolen from our country." The nearby Jirapanji Kingdom angrily cursed, "Baka. Who sent us this information? Yan Kingdom has such technology." The Buddhist White Elephant Kingdom, "Don't believe rumors, don't spread them." Every country was envious of military exoskeleton armor. This could significantly enhance the combat effectiveness of individual soldiers. While modern warfare may offer certain advantages, soldiers are still essential, especially in the 1980s, when combat between soldiers was still the norm. The 077 mechanical arsenal's Shenbing military exoskeleton armor could significantly enhance a soldier's combat effectiveness, transforming them into super soldiers. With the advancement of military exoskeleton armor, it's possible it could develop into a super suit similar to the one in Iron Man. If it truly develops into an iron suit, its combat power would directly overwhelm other flesh and blood soldiers. Chapter 269. Sure enough, here's a wealthy dog owner. Meanwhile, Abdul, the head of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region, was greeted by the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor on display at the 077 mechanical arsenal. His eyes instantly lit up with a dazzling golden glow, like stars, as he beheld the impressive and incredibly durable equipment. He was deeply intrigued by the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor from the 077 mechanical arsenal. This advanced military technology holds great significance for his country's military. Successful adoption would significantly enhance soldier survivability and combat effectiveness on the battlefield. The Camel region soldiers have always prioritized the safety and security of their soldiers. They believe that every brave and fearless soldier is the nation's most valuable asset, requiring the utmost protection and support. Upon seeing the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor developed by the 077 mechanical arsenal, Abdul immediately recognized it as the ideal piece of equipment they had been searching for. The treatment enjoyed by soldiers in the Camel region is far superior to that of many other countries worldwide. Not only are their daily needs meticulously taken care of, but even the tanks they ride in during missions are equipped with comfortable air conditioning systems. Yet, this wasn't enough. To provide soldiers with stronger protection and further enhance combat effectiveness, the introduction of cutting-edge equipment like the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor became a top priority. Soon, the Saudi delegation from the Luocho region, overwhelmed with excitement, formally submitted a request to the 077 mechanical arsenal, hoping to engage in in-depth discussions regarding the procurement of these exoskeletons. Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran, head of the 077 mechanical arsenal, readily agreed. He warmly invited the Saudi representatives from the Luocho region to a spacious, bright, and well-equipped conference room to discuss the details of the cooperation. Abdul beamed as he entered the conference room, greeting Lin Chenran, who had been waiting there. "Abdul, my friend. Thank you for your support." Lin Chenran rose to greet him, firmly grasping the offered hand. The two exchanged a smile, their deep friendship evident. Having known each other for a long time, and knowing each other intimately, they were naturally confident in this partnership. The Saudis in the Camel region have now become strategic partners of the 077 mechanical arsenal. They have purchased a wide range of weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal, primarily due to the factory's advanced equipment, which can significantly enhance Saudi Arabia's combat effectiveness. In particular, the fuel-air explosives, a non-nuclear high-kill weapon, sold by the 077 mechanical arsenal, are used as a trump card by the Saudis in the Camel region. After everyone was seated, Abdul spoke directly without hesitation. "Lin, I would like to purchase your factory's meticulously designed, fully developed, and successfully manufactured Shenbing military exoskeleton armor." His gaze fixed on Lin Chenran, eyes filled with anticipation. Since the 077 mechanical arsenal dared to publicly display this Shenbing military exoskeleton armor, it meant it was available for sale. Hearing Abdul's blunt words, Lin Chenran couldn't help but curl his lips slightly, a faint smile appearing on his face. He teased, "Oh, Abdul, my good friend, you're too impatient. Let's take our time." No, Lin, I believe your divine soldier's military exoskeleton armor production capacity is definitely not high. We in the Camel region are purchasing it first. We want to get it as soon as possible to increase the survival rate of our soldiers on the battlefield. The Camel region, Saudi Arabia always purchases good equipment for their country first, especially if it can increase the combat effectiveness of their own army. Abdul, then. Lin Chenran hesitated, his brow furrowed, his eyes flickering, his face utterly troubled, as if he had something to hide, as if he were experiencing a fierce inner struggle. Abdul knew Lin Chenran well. He was a man who valued money over fate. As long as he could offer a sufficiently attractive gratuity, he would surely be able to secure those advanced weapons and equipment from him. Even though the 077 mechanical arsenal was required by regulations to prioritize the supply of weapons and equipment to Yan country, as long as the gratuity was in place, Lin Chenran would undoubtedly provide these equipment to him first. With this in mind, Abdul acted decisively and interrupted Lin Chenran, who was still feigning hesitation. He straightened his back, crossed his arms, and said with a domineering look, "Lin, Price is not an issue. We in Saudi Arabia urgently need 200 sets of divine weapon military exoskeleton armor to bolster our military. Hearing this, Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, secretly delighted. However, on the surface, he still pretended to be reluctant and said, Abdul, we are good friends. Since you say so, I will make an exception this time. I can sell the batch of divine weapon military exoskeleton armor that was originally intended for our military to you in Saudi Arabia to help you quickly strengthen the combat effectiveness of your national army. As expected, with Lin Chenran, only money can speak the truth. Abdul, where's your face? Lin Chenran, face means nothing when it comes to money. Since the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor has just been released and utilizes all sorts of cutting-edge technology, it's unique in terms of armor defense. Therefore, it's incredibly expensive. A single set of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor costs $2 million. Yes, $2 million. And this time, the Saudi kingdom in the Luocho region is purchasing 200 sets of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor at once. They'll need to test it back home. If it's truly that good, they'll buy in large quantities. After escorting the Saudi delegation from the Luocho region out of the conference room, Elder Wei, the head of the Yan Kingdom's military equipment department, arrived with several high-ranking military officials. Elder Wei, what a rare guest. Come this way. Lin Chenran saw them off and quickly stepped forward to greet them. Lin, if I hadn't come, I wouldn't have known your 077 mechanical arsenal was actually displaying and selling finished military exoskeleton armor. As soon as Elder Wei sat down, his tone suddenly changed, his voice complaining. Master Wei, you've misunderstood me. Lin Chenran said with a wry smile. The production capacity of the divine weapon military exoskeleton armor is extremely limited, and the price is very high. Does your military have the extra funds to purchase it? It was a direct checkmate blow. The Yan state military truly didn't have the extra funds to purchase the divine weapon military exoskeleton armor. The 077 mechanical military factory had just reached a cooperation agreement with the Camel region Saudi state, and a set of divine weapon military exoskeleton armor would cost $2 million. $2 million would be better spent on purchasing other weapons and equipment to enhance the overall capabilities of the army. Master Wei gasped when he heard the price of $2 million for a set of divine weapon military exoskeleton armor. Chapter 270 Yan state purchases a small amount of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor. What? A set of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor costs a whopping $2 million? Upon hearing the price, Elder Wen's eyes widened in astonishment. That's too expensive. He couldn't help but exclaim again, inwardly stunned. Although he had long known the exorbitant price of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor, the actual figure still took him by surprise. Elder Wen took a deep breath, trying to calm his shock. He understood that the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor's high price must have its unique features and exceptional value. Such a high price tag was beyond his expectations. However, after a moment's reflection, Elder Wen realized that the exoskeleton armor's high price was not unreasonable. It was a highly mature product, ready for immediate deployment to the military and significantly enhancing its combat effectiveness. Currently, only the 077 machinery arsenal has the capacity to produce this advanced military exoskeleton armor. Even military powers like the United States and Russia are still struggling with related projects in the research and development stages. Another $2 million for a set of Shenbing military exoskeleton armor is to be sold to the wealthy Saudi Arabia. Thinking of this, Elder Wen's expression softened slightly. He looked at Lin Chenran and slowly said, Lin boy, you've passed this time. Do you think it's necessary for our military to purchase a batch of these Shenbing military exoskeleton armors and equip them for special forces use? At this point, Elder Wen's eyes shifted from the previous matter of the 077 mechanical military factory selling exoskeleton armor to Saudi Arabia in the Camel region and began to think seriously about this issue. Military exoskeleton armor can greatly enhance the combat effectiveness of the wearer. Elder Wen frowned, his fingers tapping lightly on the table, obviously weighing the pros and cons. After hearing this question, Lin Chenran instantly fell into deep thought. Time passed by, and the room was so quiet that only the slightly heavy breathing of the two people could be heard. After a long moment, Lin Chenran slowly raised his head. His deep eyes gazed at Elder Wei, who stood beside him with a solemn expression. He then spoke softly. The divine soldier's military exoskeleton armor can indeed significantly enhance the overall combat effectiveness of soldiers. There's no doubt about that. If our special forces could be equipped with this advanced weapon, it would undoubtedly greatly enhance their ability to carry out their missions and their success rate. So I personally support it. At this point, Lin Chenran paused slightly, as if considering his next words. After a moment, he continued, one practical factor we have to consider is its prohibitive price. Even if your military placed a purchase order with our 077 mechanical arsenal, the price wouldn't likely be significantly reduced. Preliminary estimates suggest the price per set would only be reduced by around $500,000. A set of this exoskeleton armor still cost a whopping $1.5 million. Such a high price tag would be a significant burden for the Yan Nation military. After saying this, Lin Chenran fell silent again, and he and Elder Wei fell into deep thought. Not long after, Elder Wei casually glanced at Lin Chenran beside him. His weathered yet resolute face remained expressionless. He spoke in a steady low voice, Lin, your 077 machinery and military factory is a real headache for our military, constantly causing us trouble. Whenever the 077 machinery and military factory launched a new piece of high-tech weaponry, the Yan state military always felt a mix of emotions. On the one hand, they were thrilled, as these advanced weapons and equipment could significantly enhance the overall strength of Yan state's military industry. Once deployed, they would undoubtedly greatly enhance the military's combat effectiveness. On the other hand, they couldn't help but feel a sense of worry. Most of the products designed, developed, and manufactured by the 077 machinery and military factory were exported, and the reasons for this were quite complex. The Yan state military would receive a share of the profits earned by the 077 machinery and military factory from the sale of these weapons and equipment. In short, the current situation can be summed up this way. If Yan Nation had sufficient military funds, there would be no worries. Everything would be easily solved. If there truly were sufficient military funds, the Yan Nation military could easily procure the sophisticated weaponry developed by the 077 mechanical arsenal and equip its troops immediately. But there are no ifs. Elder Wei adopted Lin Chenran's suggestion. On the battlefield, soldiers from other nations would be equipped with the 077 mechanical arsenal's divine weapon exoskeleton armor, while Yan Nation soldiers would not. When the two sides met on the battlefield, the disadvantages brought about by this disparity would become increasingly apparent. Alright, I'll report this in detail to my superiors when I get back. I'm sure they'll carefully consider and make a decision. I think they'll procure a small batch of divine weapon exoskeleton armor. Elder Wei pondered, gently rubbing his chin, his gaze deep into the distance. After a moment, he blinked, his eyes moving swiftly around a few times before slowly speaking. Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran's lips lifted involuntarily, a brilliant smile spreading across his face. He said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Wei. Your support means so much to us." The successful sale of the Shenbing military exoskeleton armor was undoubtedly a remarkable victory. Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel a surge of uncontrollable excitement at having fleeced the Yan Kingdom military. Mr. Wei shook his head slightly and scoffed, "You boy, you're quite the shrewd fellow." He then detailed various matters that required attention to Lin Chenran. Once everything was settled, Mr. Wei turned and left the meeting room. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a week had passed, and the highly anticipated Zhuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition had concluded successfully. The exhibition had achieved remarkable results, with intended transactions reaching a staggering $6.5 billion. Among these, the Yan Kingdom's military industry performed exceptionally well, securing $1.85 billion in orders. This achievement was truly gratifying. Who could have imagined that a single large-scale arms and equipment exhibition could revitalize the once somewhat dormant third-tier military factories of Yan State? Among the many exhibitors, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory, with its superior products and impressive displays, shone brightly at the Zhuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition, securing a whopping $1 billion in intended purchases. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271. A batch of Yun-10 aircraft were delivered. The 077 machinery and arsenal shone with brilliance at the Grand Zuhei Arms and Equipment Exhibition. The exhibition attracted attention from around the world, leaving many visitors with a new understanding and profound impression of this mysterious military factory. Intelligence personnel from various countries have long heard rumors about Yan State's advanced weaponry, purportedly manufactured at a single military factory. Despite diligent investigation, they have been unable to obtain any relevant information. The key reason for this is that the Yan State military has maintained an extremely high level of secrecy surrounding the 077 machinery and arsenal. Surrounding the 077 machinery and arsenal is a formidable Yan State military presence. According to incomplete estimates, this force is approximately the size of a battalion. This battalion, nestled against the backdrop of the 077 machinery and arsenal, is equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry and equipment. As the saying goes, a tall tree provides shade. Consequently, it has proven exceedingly difficult for intelligence personnel from various countries to gain access to the 077 machinery and arsenal for investigation. Even more baffling was the fact that intelligence agents who had attempted to infiltrate the 077 machinery and military factory were invariably, and without explanation, eliminated. It was as if the factory itself possessed a magical power, effortless detecting and blocking all outside infiltration. Over time, the 077 machinery and military factory became an impenetrable fortress in the minds of intelligence personnel from all over the world, its veil of secrecy remaining sealed. And now, the 077 machinery and military factory itself was unveiling its own secrets. Lin Chenran had just returned from a hectic schedule at the Zuhei Arms and Equipment Exhibition, and had rushed non-stop back to the 077 machinery and military factory. However, without a moment's pause, he immediately embarked on a journey to a new destination, a major domestic airport. Meanwhile, the highly anticipated Y-10 aircraft, independently developed and produced by the 077 machinery and military factory, was being delivered to a domestic airline for commissioning. Meanwhile, a prototype of the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft, an improvement on the Y-10, had been successfully manufactured and was quietly parked beside the runway, as if awaiting Lin Chenran and other relevant personnel to review it. Soon, Lin Chenran, along with several senior leaders from the 077 machinery arsenal and core members of the Y-10 project team, arrived at the spacious airfield. Standing at the airfield, gazing at the neatly arranged, brand new sleek Y-10 aircraft, everyone's faces were filled with pride and joy. At that moment, Lin Chenran slowly turned around, a gentle smile like a spring breeze plastered across his handsome face. His gaze, gentle and focused, turned to Ma Fengshan beside him. He spoke, "Mr. Ma, we are delighted that this new batch of Y-10 aircraft has been successfully delivered to domestic private airlines. This has undoubtedly brought our group considerable and substantial profits." Hearing this, Ma Fengshan was momentarily stunned, then burst into laughter. He responded, "Ha ha ha, Mr. Lin, you're absolutely right. If we don't work tirelessly to generate profits for the group, I'm afraid we'll be ashamed to face you again." With that, the two exchanged glances and smiled. Back then, due to a serious misjudgment by senior executives in China and Shanghai, they decisively halted the Y-10 project and opted instead for a partnership with McDonnell Douglas. The Y-10 aircraft project was shelved without warning. The entire R&D team faced the difficult dilemma of disintegration and disbandment. However, there was always a way out. Fortunately, the 077 machinery arsenal stepped forward and resolutely lent a helping hand to the Y-10 aircraft project, taking over the entire project that was on the verge of collapse. Otherwise, this great project, which once carried the hopes and dreams of countless people, would have long since vanished, forever slumbering in the long river of history. Not long after, a series of light footsteps approached from afar. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw that it was the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom military who had personally arrived to inspect the work. Master Wendy, Master Lin, Lin Chenran, with his sharp eyes, immediately spotted the newcomers. He immediately smiled and walked briskly forward, greeting them warmly. "Lin boy, you're still the fastest." The two were very familiar with each other and spoke casually. "We have to be quick. This time, delivering the Y-10 aircraft to the private aviation industry has made our 077 machinery and military factory quite a bit of profit. The entire large aircraft project has finally turned a profit," Lin Chenran said with a hint of pride. Elder Lin from the Air Force Equipment Department sighed deeply. A hint of anger welled up within him. If the Y-10 aircraft hadn't been taken over by the 077 machinery and military factory, it would have been consigned to history. The previous partnership with McDonnell Douglas hadn't yielded any good results. The factory they're working with has been abandoned after assembling dozens of large aircraft. "Why are you so cocky, kid? If I hadn't pushed the Y-10 aircraft team to your 077 machinery and military factory, would you be profitable now?" Elder Wendy, standing by, couldn't stand Lin Chenran's boasting and cursed him with a smile. Right. It's all thanks to Elder Wendy. And it's a lot." Lin Chenran quickly stopped his boasting, his expression fawning. Then, before Elder Wendy could express his thoughts, Lin Chenran stepped forward to stop him. "Master Wendy, please forgive me. I won't brag anymore. We just made a profit on the Y-10 aircraft project." Lin Chenran stepped forward to beg for mercy. Everyone in the room burst into laughter. "Master Wendy, Master Lin, this is the head of Sichuan Airlines Gao Wenbo, General Manager." Lin Chenran immediately introduced Gao Wenbo. Gao Wenbo was thrilled. He hadn't expected to meet such a high-ranking military figure at a small delivery ceremony. His choice had proven to be the right one. The 077 machinery and military factory had a strong background. Gao Wenbo had also heard that the Y-10 would be converted into an early warning aircraft by the 077 machinery and military factory. This was why he, against all odds, chose the Y-10 from the 077 machinery and military factory as his own aircraft. General Manager Gao: "Hello. There are so many other large aircraft available abroad. Why did Sichuan Airlines choose the Y-10? Master Lin casually remarked. Gao Wenbo saw this as a test from the military leadership. He had to remain calm. Gao Wenbo thought for a moment and replied, "My dear leaders, to be honest, Sichuan Airlines is newly established and lacks funds. The Y-10 aircraft is more cost effective than other large foreign aircraft. Also, we support the development of domestic large aircraft." Chapter 272, Yun-10 aircraft delivered to Sichuan Airlines. At that moment, the smiles that had already blossomed on everyone's faces shone even brighter, like the most dazzling spring flowers. Elder Lin and Elder Wendy, standing nearby, glanced at each other and nodded slightly, as if they were in tune with one another. If Gao Wenbo had simply been flattering, spouting sweet nothings, their impression of him would undoubtedly have been severely diminished. However, Gao Wenbo was forthright, unabashedly revealing the truth. Because of this, Elder Lin and other Yan Nation military leaders, far from being offended by his bluntness, instead offered him glances of admiration and approval, their appreciation for him rising even higher. Compared to foreign large aircraft, the Y-10 aircraft manufactured by the 077 machinery and military factory truly enjoyed a significant price advantage. Lin Chenran quickly stepped forward, attempting to relieve Gao Wenbo. He spoke earnestly, "On behalf of all our colleagues, I sincerely thank you, Mr. Gao, for your continued support of our 077 machinery arsenal." Gao Wenbo responded quickly, waving his hands and smiling. "Mr. Lin, you're so kind. We are partners, and we should work together for mutual success." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone moved to the front of the majestic Y-10 aircraft. Ma Fengshan, the Y-10 project manager, had been waiting for them. Upon seeing them arrive, he immediately stepped forward and began to provide a detailed and professional introduction. Everyone listened attentively, nodding their heads in satisfaction. For a conventional large aircraft, the Y-10's performance was truly exceptional and impressive. In particular, the engine independently developed by the 077 machinery and military factory has achieved a qualitative leap in performance. The 077 machinery and military factory and Sichuan Airlines have joined forces to extend sincere invitations to several prominent domestic news organizations to attend the grand and significant delivery ceremony for 5 large Y-10 aircraft. An event of this magnitude is rare in China and is undoubtedly a major news event. This delivery marks a milestone. Large aircraft, entirely independently developed and produced in my country, are about to be officially delivered to a domestic private airline for operation. This is undoubtedly a historic and pivotal moment, signaling a significant breakthrough and progress in my country's civil aviation sector. For news organizations, such a significant event is bound to significantly increase sales of their newspapers and magazines. As everyone eagerly anticipated the event, a surprising scene unfolded. Several prominent figures from the Yan state military were present at the delivery ceremony. This instantly heightened the already lively atmosphere, and the reporters from various news organizations were overcome with excitement. A delivery press conference personally attended by a high-ranking Chinese military official was huge news. Immediately, the well-trained reporters sprang into action, expertly manipulating their professional cameras, their fingers rapidly pressing the photo button, fearing to miss a single moment. With the resounding click of shutters, precious photographs were captured, documenting this memorable historical moment. Under the guidance of the 077 machinery arsenal staff, everyone took their seats. A moment later, Ma Fengshen, a key figure in the Y-10 aircraft project, walked steadily and powerfully onto the podium, followed closely by Gao Wenbo, the head of Sichuan Airlines. As they stood, they exchanged a glance, then simultaneously reached out, solemnly picking up the highly anticipated purchase agreement and displaying it to the crowd. Then, they set it down, picked up the pen on the table, and signed their names on the contract. Of course, the contract was fake, merely for display. This agreement not only symbolized the sincerity of the cooperation between the two parties, but also foreshadowed the future prosperity of China's large aircraft industry. The numerous reporters in the audience were already standing by, cameras tightly gripped, their attention riveted, capturing this pivotal moment of historic significance in both text and high-definition images. Flashes of light flickered, shutter clicks clattered incessantly, as if to freeze this moment forever. Lin Chenran and other relevant personnel then ascended the podium and took their reserved seats. Elder Wei and Elder Lin, representatives of the Yan Kingdom's military, also stepped steadily onto the stage. They stood tall, their faces resolute, and exuded a sense of authority. The presence of these two elders undoubtedly emboldened and reassured the 077 machinery arsenal and Sichuan Airlines. Sichuan Airlines, in particular, was particularly honored to receive such strong support and endorsement from the Chinese military. Gao Wenbo, sitting nearby, was thrilled. He knew that this collaboration with the 077 machinery arsenal and the military's recognition would bring immense benefits and broad opportunities for development to the company he led. Being the first private airline in China to receive military support is a unique honor. It's even more of an east wind. Sichuan Airlines can leverage this tailwind to achieve even greater progress and soar. After everyone took the stage, the reporters below couldn't contain their questions. One reporter was singled out for questioning. He stood up and asked directly, "Mr. Gao, why did Sichuan Airlines choose the Yan-10 aircraft from the 077 machinery and military factory when there are so many superior options abroad?" The first question was so pointed. Gao Wenbo muttered to himself, "Are you looking for trouble?" But a faint smile appeared on his face. The Yan-10 aircraft is not inferior to, and is even superior to, foreign large aircraft in terms of performance. Why should we go far away and purchase foreign large aircraft? Gao Wenbo then said jokingly, "Our Sichuan Airlines has just been established, and we need more aircraft to build aircraft routes. The Yan-10 aircraft of the 077 machinery arsenal is not much inferior to other large aircraft in terms of performance, and the price is more favorable. Is it wrong to support domestic production?" As soon as Gao Wenbo finished speaking, thunderous applause rang out at the Yan-10 aircraft delivery press conference. "That's right, there are excellent large aircraft in China. Why should we go far away and choose other foreign large aircraft? It's right to support domestic production. If you don't support it, and I don't support it, how can domestic production rise?" Lin Chenran on the side turned around and said with a smile, "Thank you, President Gao, for your support for our 077 machinery arsenal." Chapter 273. It is misfortune, but also luck. Immediately, another reporter stood up, microphone tightly gripped. his eyes fixed intently on Mr. Ma. He eagerly asked, "Mr. Ma, I heard that the 5 Y-10 aircraft have been successfully delivered to Sichuan Airlines and are now operational. How do you feel about this?" Mr. Ma's face flickered with surprise at first, as if he hadn't anticipated such a direct question. But he quickly recovered, his expression gradually softening, a smile creeping up his lips. Then, he replied in a steady and emotional tone, "As everyone knows, the Y-10 aircraft has gone through countless hardships and obstacles along the way, from the initial design concept, to the subsequent long research and development process, to the arduous manufacturing stage, and finally to its successful delivery." After a pause, Mr. Ma continued, "I'm very grateful to this journalist friend for his silent attention and support for our Y-10 aircraft project. To be honest, my heart is full of joy at this moment. In order to develop this large passenger aircraft of great significance, our entire team has put in so much effort and hard work. We have never slacked off, and always kept in mind the mission and responsibilities we shoulder. We dare not let down the expectations of the country and the trust of the people, and we cannot let the hard work of the 077 machinery arsenal go to waste over the years." After 10 years of unremitting struggle, we finally succeeded in building the Y-10 aircraft and delivered the first batch of 5 to brother units for use. At this point, Mr. Ma's voice trembled slightly, and tears of excitement flashed in his eyes. He calmed himself down a bit before emphasizing, "The development of the Y-10 aircraft project has been truly fraught with hardship. From its inception to its official completion today, the numerous difficulties encountered are far beyond the imagination of most people. Looking back, this project was launched as early as 1970, yet it wasn't until 1987, this year, that we welcomed the historic moment of our first delivery. Over these long 17 years, the Y-10 aircraft has experienced countless setbacks and challenges, but we have never given up easily. We have always remained steadfast in our faith and forged ahead step by step." When Ma Fengshen concluded his passionate speech, Lin Chenran was the first to stand up, smiling and clapping his hands vigorously. This gesture seemed to be a signal, instantly igniting the enthusiasm of the entire audience. All participants responded with applause like a tide, wave after wave, each wave higher than the last. For a moment, deafening applause resounded like thunder, reverberating throughout the venue and reaching the heavens. Looking back, the Y-10 aircraft project has endured a truly arduous journey. Since its official launch in 1970, countless researchers have toiled day and night, overcoming numerous difficulties and challenges. 17 years passed, and finally, in 1987, this large aircraft, the culmination of countless efforts, was delivered. To say the Y-10 suffered misfortune is to say it waited silently for 17 long years, enduring countless trials and tribulations before finally soaring high into the skies. However, from another perspective, the Y-10 was incredibly fortunate. After rounds of research and development, improvements, and meticulous manufacturing, it was finally successfully delivered to Sichuan Airlines. Compared to many ill-fated projects that fizzled out, the Y-10 is undoubtedly a standout. At this moment, facing the rapid-fire questions from the reporters below the stage, the relevant persons in charge appeared calm and not at all flustered. They wore confident smiles, with quick thinking and clear answers to each question one by one. Whether it involves complex and advanced technological innovations or the highly anticipated market outlook forecasts, they can give detailed, comprehensive and convincing answers. The half-hour delivery press conference passed in a flash and came to an end. The reporters from several major domestic news organizations collected various useful information. They all had bright smiles on their faces. Under the arrangement of the 077 machinery arsenal, they left with satisfaction. Lin Chenran walked to Gao Wenbo's side with a smile and steady steps. He shook Gao Wenbo's hand tightly and said in a sincere and earnest tone, "Mr. Gao, thank you Sichuan Airlines for your strong support for our Y-10 aircraft." Then, with a glint of expectation in his eyes, Lin Chenran continued, "Mr. Gao, I would like to take this opportunity to wish in advance that Sichuan Airlines under your leadership will be able to develop rapidly like a kunpeng spreading its wings, constantly opening up more and better routes, and making Sichuan Airlines a dazzling star enterprise in the aviation industry. Thank you." Then, Lin Chenran moved a little closer to Gao Wenbo, lowered his voice and said mysteriously, "Mr. Gao, I have another good news to tell you. Our 077 machinery arsenal will soon grandly launch a new upgraded Yun-10A aircraft. This new aircraft has super long flight range and can be competent for various international long-distance flight missions." At this point, Lin Chenran's face was filled with pride. He patted Gao Wenbo on the shoulder and added expectantly, "Mr. Gao, I sincerely hope that Sichuan Airlines can come to support us and witness this milestone moment together." After hearing Lin Chenran's words, Gao Wenbo's initial expression of surprise quickly gave way to an expression of uncontrollable excitement. He excitedly responded, "Mr. Lin, this is fantastic news. Such a powerful new large aircraft is about to be released. It's truly fantastic. Mr. Lin, rest assured, if the Yun-10A large aircraft from your 077 machinery and arsenal is successfully delivered, Sichuan Airlines will definitely be here to show its support. A large aircraft with excellent performance is a rare treasure for any airline. The 077 machinery and arsenal, a mysterious and massive industrial behemoth, conceals an astonishing military background." Faced with such a powerful and promising partner, Gao Wenbo's mind was as clear as a mirror. He knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Seizing it would surely bring about earth-shaking changes for his company. Therefore, no matter how much effort it took, he was determined to establish an unbreakable partnership, leveraging their strength to propel his own company's rapid development and continued growth. As for so-called face and dignity, they have long since become insignificant in the face of the enormous temptation of profit. How can these illusory things compare to tangible business interests and the long-term development of the company? Although such background and power would not be used under normal circumstances, no one could predict what would happen in the future. In a critical moment of life and death, this trump card could become the last straw to save Sichuan Airlines, allowing the company to survive. "Thank you again, Mr. Gao, for your support." Lin Chenran excitedly shook Gao Wenbo's hand, repeatedly expressing his sincere gratitude. Chapter 274, Yun-10 Airborne Early Warning Aircraft Predicts Enemy Situation. After bidding farewell to Gao Wenbo, Lin Chenran led a group of prominent figures from the Yan state military toward the distinctive and eye-catching Y-10 aircraft a short distance away. This aircraft stood out from ordinary transport aircraft. As they approached the Y-10, their distinctive exterior design became clear. Sleek lines defined the graceful contours of the fuselage, and the wings and tail were meticulously optimized to enhance flight performance and stability. Most striking was the massive radome atop the aircraft's nose, a dazzling crown that highlighted its unique role as an airborne early warning aircraft. As everyone boarded the aircraft, the cabin door slowly closed. Upon entering the cabin, the Yan state military leaders were immediately struck by the sight before them. The once spacious space was now filled with a variety of sophisticated instruments and equipment, a dense web of wires and pipes interwoven like a complex and sophisticated technological maze. The instruments flashed with colorful indicators, and the screens flashed with a dazzling display of data and images. From the advanced radar system to the high-performance communications equipment to the intelligent data analysis terminal, every component exudes a high-tech brilliance, making one marvel at the rapid development of modern aviation technology. At this moment, Lin Chenran turned around, his gaze falling on Ma Fengshen beside him. His lips curled up slightly, a faint smile forming, and he spoke slowly, in a tone filled with trust and expectation. "Mr. Ma, it will now be your turn to introduce the Y-10 Airborne Early Warning Aircraft from our 077 machinery arsenal to the leaders." Ma Fengshen nodded solemnly. He first coughed twice to clear his slightly hoarse throat, then strode forward with steady powerful steps to the front of the group. With a professional and vivid manner, like a seasoned storyteller, he explained the various features of the Y-10 Airborne Early Warning Aircraft. Upon hearing these words, the Yan state military representative standing nearby suddenly broke into irrepressible smiles of joy. They pricked up their ears, listening intently to Ma Fengshen's every word, fearing to miss a single crucial tidbit. Meanwhile, their pens danced, quickly scribbling down the key points and highlights of Ma Fengshen's speech. Ma Fengshen paused, glancing around at the pairs of expectant eyes, then took a deep breath and continued, "Commanders, the engine powering this Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft is the latest development from our 077 machinery and military factory. Compared to the previously delivered Y-10 aircraft, this Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft uses a different engine. The Y-10 AWACS utilizes a high-power engine designed specifically for military use. The difference between the military and civilian sectors is profound. To ensure the Y-10's exceptional performance, the 077 machinery and military factory spared no expense, meticulously developing and customizing a powerful aircraft engine. However, at this moment, Lin Chenran on the side took over the conversation and further explained, because this engine is a customized product, its research and development and manufacturing costs are huge. Lin Chenran's words meant that the Yan state military insisted on using this special engine, then the price of the Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft would inevitably increase. Hearing this, Mr. Wei on the side was both surprised and entangled. The surprise is that with the new engine, the performance of the Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft has made a qualitative leap. The entanglement is that the Yan state military has to pay an expensive purchase fee again. Want to use a powerful aircraft, but don't want to pay? Lin Chenran waved his hand helplessly, saying that he was powerless, and then directly gave the Yan state military two choices. He gazed at everyone present with a piercing gaze and spoke calmly, "Comrades, as the saying goes, I want the horse to run fast, but I don't want to give it enough grass." How could such a good thing happen? He paused briefly before continuing, "If your military is willing to accept the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft using its existing engines, we can naturally replace them as required. If that happens, the overall performance of this AWACS aircraft will be significantly compromised, especially in terms of endurance. I'm afraid it won't be able to meet expected demand." Lin Chenran stated bluntly, "You get what you pay for. Cheap and good. A big deal for a small price? Yes. But not much. Especially in the field of weaponry, superior performance and high technology will inevitably come at a high price." Elder Lin, standing by, felt that the price increase at the 077 machinery arsenal was reasonable. For the Yan State Air Force, performance is paramount. Purchasing an AWACS aircraft with inferior performance would be of little significance to the entire Air Force. Furthermore, the number of Y-10 AWACS aircraft purchased will not be large. A slightly higher price is acceptable. Elder Wei and Elder Lin looked at each other and accepted the reality. In the end, the Yan state military purchased 4 Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft from the 077 machinery and military factory. If there is a need, more will be purchased. Wei, Elder Lin, your military purchased 4 Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft, and our 077 machinery and military factory has no profit at all. Just broke even. Lin Chenran complained directly to the two military leaders of the Yan state. Judging from the fact that the Yan state military purchased 4 Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft, the 077 machinery and military factory really just broke even. Even the labor costs were included. Elder Wei obviously saw through Lin Chenran. Yes, your 077 machinery and military factory broke even. On behalf of the military, I thank you, the 077 machinery and military factory, for developing an airborne early warning aircraft with superior performance for us." Lin Chenran on the side suddenly became embarrassed. Suddenly, bursts of laughter came from the inside of the Yan-10 airborne early warning aircraft. "Forget it. Just consider it as our 077 machinery and military factory supporting the country's national defense construction." At the same time, the news that the 077 machinery and military factory cooperated with Sichuan Airlines and the latter purchased 5 Y-10 aircraft from the former was disseminated by several major domestic news agencies, instantly causing heated discussions at home and abroad. The people of Yan country, cool. The domestic large aircraft have finally been delivered to private airlines for use. We can finally sit on our own large aircraft and proud aircraft. After 17 years, we have finally sharpened our sword. In the large aircraft market, there is a domestic presence. If the 077 machinery and military factory had not taken over the Y-10 large aircraft project team, our large aircraft would have been strangled in the cradle. I heard that the 077 machinery and military factory has designed, developed, and manufactured the second large aircraft, and this time the large aircraft's range will be greatly improved, and it can fly international routes uninterruptedly. Chapter 275, Yun-10 Aircraft. The successful delivery of the Y-10 aircraft was like a brilliant ray of light streaking across the sky, instantly igniting a fiery flame in the hearts of countless Chinese people, bringing them immense pride and honor. This is our homegrown large aircraft, developed and produced domestically. It carries the dreams and aspirations of generations, having weathered countless hardships and obstacles before soaring into the skies. For this reason, it has earned the resounding and endearing nickname, the Pride Plane. The arrival of this domestically produced large aircraft not only fills a significant gap in my country's aviation industry, but also provides unprecedented opportunities and choices for domestic airlines. In the past, due to a lack of competitive domestically produced large aircraft, domestic airlines often relied on a few large foreign aircraft manufacturers for procurement. However, this situation has fundamentally changed. The foreign large aircraft manufacturers, who once acted arrogantly at the negotiating table and arbitrarily imposed harsh conditions on domestic airlines, can no longer act with such impunity. This is because Yan has its own powerful weapon, the domestically produced large aircraft. This gives domestic airlines greater confidence and leverage in their competition with foreign manufacturers, allowing them to more confidently navigate complex situations. If the Type 077 machinery arsenal can continue its success and develop a powerful large aircraft with even superior performance and advanced technology, the challenges facing major foreign aircraft manufacturers will inevitably become even more severe. The global aviation market landscape could be fundamentally reshaped, and China's aviation industry will stand tall and proud in the world with a renewed sense of purpose. "Chicken country," exclaimed the Chinese. "What's so great about that? It's just a large aircraft, and one with outdated construction technology. What good is it? I don't even want it." The Chinese responded, "Once Yan country successfully acquires its own large aircraft, they will undoubtedly use it as a foundation to develop an airborne early warning aircraft. This will significantly enhance their military power in the air, which is not a good thing for us. We must intervene." Mao Zedong, the threat posed by that 077 mechanical arsenal is truly not to be underestimated. If it's allowed to develop for a few more years, Yan's military might will be significantly enhanced, and the situation will become unmanageable. Beijing Nation, don't believe rumors, don't spread them. While Yan has the capability to build large aircraft, that doesn't mean they possess the technology to build an airborne early warning aircraft. Want one? Maybe in a decade or so. Han Nation, damn. In my opinion, Yan's 077 mechanical arsenal is absolutely stealing our advanced technology. Otherwise, how could they have achieved such success so quickly? Countries around the world are taking action. Eagle Source McDonald Douglas, Yan's branch. Montbrook sat at his desk with a gloomy expression, his powerful hands tightly gripping a newspaper, as if he were about to crumple it. On the main page of the newspaper, a high-definition image of the enormous Y-10 aircraft was printed. Its massive wings and sleek fuselage were particularly striking. Next to this stunning image was a report detailing the performance, features, and development history of the Y-10 aircraft. At that moment, Montbrook's heart was pounding like a raging storm, and even a surge of uncontrollable anger welled up. He had never imagined that the Y-10, once on the brink of extinction, would rise like a phoenix from the ashes. This large aircraft, considered a source of national pride for Yan country, had now been successfully built, and 5 had been delivered to Sichuan Airlines for operational use. Montbrook had long considered the vast Yan country large aircraft market his own. McDonnell Douglas, a company that engaged in fierce competition with other large aircraft manufacturers from around the world. To consolidate its position in this market, McDonnell Douglas had even invested heavily, reaching a cooperation agreement with a Shanghai-based company to establish a joint venture. This so-called joint venture was a simple assembly plant. Montbrook was now filled with regret and immense anger at the current situation. He couldn't help but wonder inwardly, why didn't he act decisively to completely kill this potential competitor when the Y-10 aircraft project team was still under his control? Now that the Y-10 aircraft has risen, it will become an extremely tough nut to crack, and a powerful competitor for his own McDonnell Douglas on the road to development in the Yan country market. Then, Monbrook clenched his fists tightly, trying his best to suppress the rage burning in his heart. After taking a few deep breaths, he tried to calm himself down, then turned to look at the assistant who was standing respectfully beside him, and said in a low voice, but with unquestionable majesty, "Go, ask Lucio Dico to come to me, and tell him that I have something important to discuss with him." Time passed by minute, as if a century had passed. A hurried sound of footsteps came from far away, and then the office door was pushed open, and Lucio Dico walked in sweating and panting. Monbrook's originally tense face relaxed a little when he saw Lucio Dico, and the corners of his mouth finally forced out a barely noticeable smile. "Lucio, come and sit here," Monbrook said as he took a few steps forward enthusiastically, extending his hand to make a welcoming gesture. "President Brook." Lucio Dico quickly took 2 steps to come to Monbrook, bowed to him respectfully, and greeted him in a respectful voice. At this time, the assistant also came over quickly with 2 cups of steaming coffee. After placing them gently on the table, he turned around and left the room very tactfully, closing the door. Lucio Dico first thanked him politely, then picked up one of the cups of coffee and took a sip carefully. The rich and mellow taste spread in his mouth instantly, but at this moment he obviously had no intention of savoring this delicious coffee. After putting down the cup, he looked up at Monbrook, his eyes firm, and eagerly asked, "President Brook, may I ask why you called me here this time?" Monbrook didn't answer immediately, but instead sighed deeply. He slowly raised his hand, picked up the crumpled newspaper on the table, and handed it to Lucio Dico. Lucio Dico took the paper with confusion. When he read the contents, his face turned pale, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. "Hiss." Lucio Dico gasped, then stood up with a face full of guilt and fear. He bowed repeatedly to Monbrook, saying, "President Brook, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.